Ladies and gentlemen, this is a solemn day in our country's history. Today, and about this time, quite frankly, in Washington, D.C., they're having the funeral service of President H.W. Bush, President of the United States, 41. This has been declared official day of mourning. And in a moment, when we get to a point, I'm going to ask Tyner, members, I'm going to ask Tyner to read a resolution which we cannot vote on today because the way we set the agenda up and the way the president died and all. So we're going to read a resolution on behalf of the president, and the mission of the court on the 12th we'll come back and ratify that, if that's okay. We've been asked a lot of questions over the last few days, as have you, about the president and what he meant to Texas. And I think you know he adopted Texas as his home of residence. He lived in Houston. And I know some of you don't appreciate this, but the George H.W. Bush Library is in College Station at Texas A&M. And he loved Texas A&M. And there will be a great showing by the Corps cadets when the president is laid to rest following the second funeral. So in a few moments, I'm going to ask you to stand, and I'm going to ask Tyner to read the resolution. And I'd like to thank Commissioner Moritz for calling me shortly after the president died and asking that we do something, and I think this is the least we can do on behalf of all of us and all of you. So we will read the resolution. Good morning, Barbara. We'll read the resolution, and we'll affirm the resolution on our last meeting on the 12th, if that's all right with everybody. And John, thank you for your call. I appreciate that very much. So we're delighted today to have Bishop Carmody here. The bishop will be giving the next to last court meeting invocation, and he's a good friend. He's a good friend to all of you, and he's certainly a good friend to this court. So in a moment when we stand, we'll have the bishop, and followed by both pledges to the U.S. and Texas flag. So in just a moment, Bishop, we'll be ready to go. Okay, you're all ready? Stand, please.
Good and gracious God, we thank you for this beautiful day here in Corpus Christi. Lord, we thank you for the leadership that has come out of the great state of Texas. We thank you for the life of President Bush and the difference he made during his lifetime. Thank you for inspiring him to use his talents to make this a more peaceful world. Lord, we thank you for our judge here who has served this community for 40 years, using all the talents you have given him, Lord, to make this community a joyful, peaceful, prosperous community. Lord, in his retirement, be with him and give him the strength to continue to volunteer to make a difference. We thank you for the Garcia family, Jerry Garcia, who is here retiring after 38 years serving this county and this community. Lord, bless him and bless his family. Lord, bless the whole community. May we really experience joy during this special season. And Lord, may the symbols of the season inspire people to live according to the symbols. Lord, the Christmas trees that we bring to our home are a symbol of you in our home. The tree is a sign of your presence in our midst. Lord, as we place the decorations on our tree, let us be mindful it is the tree of life, as opposed to the tree of the Garden of Eden, which brought death. Lord, our tree brings life. May the lights on our tree be always a sign that, Lord, you are the light of the world, and even in darkness, you are a light for all of us. Lord, help us as we share our love with others. May the presents that are placed under the tree be a sign of the love that the families have for each other. And all love comes from you, and it comes to the members of the family. Lord, may we continue to bring joy to our community. And Lord, may all our politicians reach out to help everybody as brothers and sisters. Let us work together, affirming one another, seeing the good in each other, praising each other. And Lord, bless us all during this wonderful season. Bless and guide us as we live to be a light to others. And we welcome you into our homes. As we place the light in the window, we're saying, Lord, mi casa es su casa. And you are welcome to bring joy and happiness to our family, our home, our community, and our county, our state, and our world. May we have peace, the peace of Christmas. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge to the United States flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Bishop.
That was a prayer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Today's December the 5th. We're meeting in the Nueces County Commissioner's Courtroom. I'd like to certify that all members of the court are present and that we have a quorum. I'd like to call for approval of the minutes of November 14th and November 20th, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, pose same sign. Jerry? Where is Jerry? Why don't you come around up here and bring your family? I think it'd be great if they care to join you. Come on up. We'd love to have you. Come on up here. 38 years, huh?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your service to this county.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Come on over here.
Thank you very much.
Hi, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Good to see you all. Thank you. Tyner, you have that?
It's all up there, Judge. Your turn. And his watch.
Okay, here?
That's it, Judge.
You do it.
Jerry, on behalf of myself and Public Works, I want to thank you for the 38 years of your hard work and service for Nueces County, and we want to wish you the best on your retirement.
Thank you. Let me have that microphone. That's 38 years. You're bound to want to say something.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Jerry Garcia, Public Works, Robstown Yard Supervisor for 38 years. I just want to thank everybody in every department in Nueces County that I work under and I work with. I work with all four commissioners and about 5 or 6 judges. So, and about 6 engineers. So I've met a lot of the public. I've met a lot of employees, engineers, and all the engineer department. I want to thank you all for giving me 38 years and helping me in any way I needed help. Also the other departments and the Commissioner's Court and the judge, thank you all very much. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and God bless all you guys.
Thank you. There really is a watch here,
Yes, sir.
and congratulations, and we thank you again for everything and your family. Thank all of you for being here. This is a great day for him and a great day for us. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good deal. Thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here? All right. Okay, Jerry. This makes it official.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Of course. Here.
Open it up.
Here, let's open that up. There you go. How's that?
Thank you. Wow, yeah, getting this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Judge, I have to say that Jerry has a nice head of hair. I mean, I never seen that. He's always wearing his cap. So you look good with that comb over. It looks good.
Okay.
I'm not going to touch that one. Yeah, right.
Public comment is reserved for items not posted on the agenda. Mr. Morris is here. Please come up, if you will. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. As both a Port Aransas resident and a member of the Port Aransas Conservancy, I'm here to discuss the apparent picking of winners by the Port of Corpus Christi and now seemingly Nueces County. The Commissioners are meeting today in regards to a letter to the GLO that points out the supposed flaws of another company's efforts to export oil from the coastal bend. I'd like to think that the county commissioners are actually concerned about the environmental impacts of an offshore terminal, though it would seem sadly more likely that their deep concerns are actually about keeping the Port of Corpus Christi, which is a public navigation district, monopoly on the export of oil and the money from that. Here we have two government entities attempting to derail private enterprise so as to maintain their own power. I also take exception as a resident on the assertion stated in the letter to the GLO that states many people from all over the country build homes to enjoy beachfront on Mustang Island in Nueces County, Texas. I note that there's no mention of the impacts of this.
Sir, I'm sorry. It was just pointed out to me you're talking about an agenda item, and I asked for comment on items that weren't or not on the agenda.
You called me up and I had the agenda item.
That's all right. I'm going to have to ask you to stop when we get to that item. And thank you, Joe. I had missed that. We'll ask you for comment. All right. Any other public comment for items not on the agenda? Tyner?
Judge, this is a resolution that will be presented to the court on December 12th. George Herbert Walker Bush, June 12, 1924 to November 30th, 2018. Whereas George Herbert Walker Bush was an American politician who served as the 41st President of the United States from 1989 to 1993. Further, prior to assuming the presidency, Bush served as the 43rd Vice President of the United States from 1981 to 1989. As a member of the Republican Party, he previously served as United States Representative, Ambassador, and Director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Whereas following the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, Bush postponed any university studies and enlisted in the United States Navy on his 18th birthday and became one of the youngest aviators in the U.S. Navy, where he served until September 1945, then enrolling in Yale University and graduating in 1948, moving his family to West Texas, where he entered the oil business, becoming a millionaire by the age of 40 in 1964. Whereas the Bush presidency was driven by foreign policy, as military operations were conducted in Panama, the Persian Gulf, the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. The Soviet Union dissolved 2 years later. Bush signed the North American Free Trade Agreement, and on July 26, 1990, signed into law the Americans with Disabilities Act. Bush left office in 1993 and continued to be active, often alongside political rival Bill Clinton in humanitarian activities. Finally, Bush died this past Friday, November 30th, at the age of 94 years, 171 days, being the longest-lived president in American history. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Commissioners Court hereby honors the memory of George Herbert Walker Bush, 41st President of the United States, for his lifetime of accomplishments and service to the American people. We hereby encourage the citizens of Nueces County to join the court in offering condolences to the Bush family in this time of mourning.
Thank you, Tyner. Would you rise, please? Thank you. Thank you, Tyner. Good job. Good job. Commissioners, I'd like to ask you to go to the regular agenda items, number 4A5, please, 4A5. I'm going to make the motion that this be tabled and move forward into the next new year. The new county judge, I think, should have an important role in the selection of this person, as well as all of the commissioners. And with the permission of the court, I'm going to move that we table that item for discussion by the new court sometime in January or whenever you see fit. And if I can get a second to that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. There's a second.
Judge,
Yes.
just a quick discussion. I'd like, if it's okay, I'd like to, whether it's accepted as part of the motion to table, but at least throw out that we also include in that a discussion as to whether we even need that position at all, or whether we need to reallocate those funds for something else that the new county judge and the commissioners might dictate. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
If you want to make that a part, I don't care, Brent. So if you all want to discuss that next year, that's fine with me. That's fine.
Go ahead.
All right.
Mr.
I think I got a second to that. Did I not?
You did.
Add something to it?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. So I'll leave it in the good hands of the new court, and you all decide what you want to do.
Judge, one more thing.
Yes.
As we're in this item here, in order that position will not be vacant all this time and somebody needs to be doing some of that work, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Tyner as the acting administrator at this time.
But it's up to the court. I think he's doing that anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think
Yeah.
I'll make it official. He's the acting administrator.
I'd second that motion.
That'd be fine.
I don't have an agenda item to that effect.
Okay, we can't do that? Okay. Tyner, you're it by acclamation.
Next meeting.
No vote with acclamation. Okay. All right. Anything else on that? Good. We'll move on. And I think you all made a right decision today, and then we'll see how it turns out next year.
Judge, while we're tabling things, I would like to go to Board Appointment 6G and table that until the first meeting in January as well.
Okay, just a moment.
And that was at the request of the new county judge, and I'm happy to
Where are you?
let her look at that. The Nueces County Board of Coastal Parks Commissioners, 6G.
6G. That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so you've tabled 6G, and we tabled the 5, okay? And I've been asked by the county attorney to table, I think that's 4A3? 4A3. I need a motion to table 4A3 at the request of the county attorney.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, post same sign. So we have tabled 3 and 5 and 6G. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. Anything else? All right, let's go back to the agenda. Consent agenda items are items that will be voted on by one vote unless a member of the public or a member of the court asks that that item be pulled, individually discussed, and voted on. I'll now call for public comment on consent agenda items 3A through 3X, 3A through 3X. See none. Commissioners, any comments on items 3A through 3X of the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull G, O, P, R, T, and X.
Holy cow, what?
G, O, P, R, T,
G, O,
P,
P,
R,
R,
T,
T.
and X. Have some questions?
Okay. Any others? All right, let's see what we got left to vote on here. Under the consent agenda items, 3A through 3X, with the exception of G, O, P, R, T,
Next.
X. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. See none. All right, let's go back to the first one we pulled, which was G.
These are going to be quick questions.
All right.
Did we purchase this that we're replacing that One Solutions in 2016?
Yes.
So I'm trying to think here. We're replacing it, and we're going to replace it and spend $56,000 to replace what we purchased in 2016. Why is that?
Well, we purchased the license of the equipment. Right now, the software that we're using, the functionality is not there. The people that try to go online to apply for jobs on there sometimes have problems saving a file or saving an application, and they can't tie one application to more than one job. We've talked to our provider that's doing our current application online system, and they're focusing on other aspects of trying to get their My Financial Section side of it more of a Windows-based file. So they've left this thing that's on the downside where it does very little improvements. And right now, it's just not meeting the needs of the HR or the county to bring in qualified applicants for the position.
How much did that cost in 2016? Do you remember?
$20,000.
I guess my question is this. I don't know who's looking at it. I don't know if it's you, Dale, or whatever. Are we not looking ahead and trying to figure out if this is going to meet our needs? I just hate paying more money in 2 years.
We went through several scenarios and several demonstrations, and this one is the best for the county at the cheapest price. We've had others that wanted to come in to do something for this, but required us to entirely replace our payroll system, which because it's a part of our core financial system, we can't do that. And this particular company allows us to do just the recruiting side of it on that, and it's right now the ones we saw. This is the cheapest one. The other ones we were looking at were anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000, and way too high. And the one we have right now, if you start getting the applications for the director that we're showing here, you'll see that the information you get is very not in a good format and not in a good way, and with the instruction of what our financial systems accounting people are talking about, they don't expect to do a lot of improvement to the current application online that we have for 2 or 3 years. And we think that NeoGov gives us the best opportunity with what we have, as well as being able to broadcast our applicants across the state and across the country to bring in more qualified applicants to the county.
And I understand that. My concern was that we had just done it in 2016, and now we're having to replace it. And so my concern is, are we really looking at what we need so we don't have to keep replacing this? And the person looking, do they know what they should be looking for?
Yes, I know our IT department has gone through several scenarios and several ones, and they made sure first it has to be qualified to meet our ADA requirements for the website, because it's a website-based system, and Lance can talk about that, as well as some other inboarding and outboarding that requirements that we have to assist everyone that's requesting applicant to bring in the right candidates for the position. Because right now, the last few times that I've had some open positions in my staff, because our broadcasting of the applications don't go very far, I didn't get very many qualified applicants in there, so I had to go at a lower level than I would probably wanted. And we think this will help that clear that up. I know it's expensive.
And I understand that. My concern is just the fact that when we get something, I hope we really delve into it so that we don't have to replace it in 2 years.
This one, we expect to have this for a long period of time.
Okay.
A quick comment on that, too. The one solution piece that we did also had a very low renewal cost comparatively. So that was the cheapest option at the time, but this is the new, not bottom barrel, but lower bid, but it's 50, or about 35,000, I think, a year. So drastically different from what the previous one, where we tried to step into the online world. So it's not quite, it wasn't quite like a waste to go the other direction. It did get us out of the paper process, so it accomplished some things, but the overhead, like he was saying, it was very clear that they wanted us to pay for the development of their software, and we weren't going to invest that kind of money to reinvent the wheel. And so NeoGov, just to speak to the ADA compliance, was the first company that when I asked them if they had some compliance with the ADA standards that we have to meet, they handed us a certificate that we didn't even know existed. And we went to the Nobility Conference, and I asked for that left and right. Everybody I talked to, nobody could give us a certificate. And apparently between the Nobility Conference and when we had that discussion, they had a certificate. And now we actually use that as a way to get other people to confirm software is valid.
My point is, I hope you don't have to come back in 2 years and say, oh, this is not the best one, we've got to replace it again.
And
That's
also
my
on the
point.
particular item, we talked to NeoGov as well as our financial accounting software, and we talked that there are other counties, they're not necessarily in Texas, but there are several counties that use our software that are using NeoGov, and they're able to communicate, not a direct link, but definitely communicate with one another, which makes it, for what I feel and what the IT feels and what HR feels, this should be a long-term package.
Thank you.
Okay, you want to make the motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, pose same sign. Now we'll go to O.
Okay. Can I ask some questions of the DA and the sheriff? You can stay too.
Sure.
Okay. Both of them, same time?
No.
I just.
Morning.
Good morning. I think this is so important that the public understand what you're doing, because when I first read it, I had a really big concern, and then I visited with the DA and with the sheriff, and thank you for that visit. So I wished y'all would explain exactly what this does, and did you visit with Chief Markle, and does the sheriff support this?
Well, I'll speak from what I know about, and if it may please the court. So what I guess Commissioner Vaughn is asking about is this live scan, I guess, piece of equipment that we're asking permission to purchase. And this live scan is needed because cited offenders' fingerprints, every time somebody actually gets arrested out there, they have to be processed through the jail, right? And those fingerprints have to be recorded so we could track people. It's very important that we comply with CJIS as well as DPS, so that way we're in compliance and we're not, at risk of losing grants. So with that being said, once a cited offender will typically, for tracking their respective cases, and under this procedure, the DA's office, rather than the sheriff, will actually be, which is customary, will be the arresting agency, right? And so, thus allowing the arrest process yet to circumvent getting arrested. And so what does that mean? And Matt wrote this, and he speaks a lot better than me, and I don't usually use the word circumvent, but I read what he wrote here today. So there are 7 cases that are allowed by the legislator to actually, for officers who can make an arrest, to have discretion. Now, number one, we are not telling the court or anybody or the general public that you cannot make an arrest. If that guy's a knucklehead or there's something else that he should be arrested for, we are never telling any officer, number one, how to do their job, and number two, that they don't have the discretion to actually make those arrests, right? If they feel they need to make an arrest, they always can. But speaking with a lot of the officers on patrol, some of them feel that that time can be better used or allocated for more serious crimes. Now, some of the criticism may be, because there are 7, and I'll list those here so the public knows, and not only the public, but the commissioners, and we've talked before, so some of you may already know this, which are, there are 7 Class A and B misdemeanors of theft: possession of marijuana, possession of synthetic marijuana, graffiti, criminal mischief, criminal trespass, and possession of a contraband in a correctional facility. Some criticism we may receive is that this may be a win for individuals who want to legalize marijuana, right? Well, I would tell you that this is a win for, I don't necessarily feel it's a win for those individuals. I think it's a win, number one, for Nueces County, because we'll be saving money. Every person that doesn't have to go to that jail will not be subjected to something happening to them in jail. Every person not going to that jail will not have to be, well, the county won't have to be subjected to paying for their medical bills. Typically, from all the arresting agencies, and we just, CCPD was probably the main one that we focused on, because 90% of the jail's intake is through CCPD. And so 304 cases a month would qualify within those 7 cases. And so that, at one night stay, which typically nobody goes to jail for one night, it'd be nice if they could get in and get out, but the way things work, by the time they find mom or whoever, the bond company, sometimes it's 2 nights. But at one night, you're saving the county $24,000 a month. And we've talked about this before, and I think it's, once we crunch the numbers, I think we're going to be saving maybe $54,000 a month, or 24 times 2, sorry, $58,000 a month. And then maybe even more or less. It just depends. But we need this machine to go forward with this operation. And I think that I could say we've had the blessing of all local law enforcement, especially the ISDs. And I'll tell you why. Because ISDs say, when I run a student in in a cafeteria full of and I run him in, let's say if he has a marijuana, one joint or something like that. I bring him into juvenile detention center, and during that 1 hour that I'm waiting or 2 hours that I'm waiting, there's a huge fight in the cafeteria because nobody's watching and all kinds of stuff happens. So if I can give him a citation, he's going to get released to his parents anyways. He's not going to stay in juvenile for those types of offenses anyways. Then that would be something that I am happy or pro about. So that's kind of where we're at, and we need this machine so that way we can track these individuals so we don't lose funding, and that way we can process their cases.
Mr. Gonzalez, are you talking mostly about all your arrest and release?
Yeah, it's some people call it the cite and release. Some people call it cite in lieu of arrest, as the sheriff would like to call it. I'll call it whatever you guys like. If we're saving the county money, and people who don't need to go to jail don't go to jail.
And to make it understood.
Yes, ma'am.
That the police officers write the tickets.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the tickets are given to y'all. They do not do like you do a traffic ticket where you can just mail it in. They have to appear.
You have to appear, and you have a certain amount of time to appear. And if you don't do so, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. This is it's going to be very clear that this is not a speeding ticket. This is going to be an offense that is arrestable. You can go to jail, and officers are going to be arresting people sometimes because that's the nature of the job and the discretion they have. So you're going to have somebody who may be probably rude to the officer, and they could end up in jail, and that's going to be rightly so on every officer who makes those arrests or those calls.
You know. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead and ask him. I've got some questions to the others.
Okay. I was just going to make a comment too. I really appreciate Commissioner Vaughn pulling this off the consent agenda to discuss, because I really think this warrants some attention, because I think this is a great program. I appreciate your initiative in taking this on. Again, I think the last time you came, when we figured out we didn't have the machine, and we were all bothered about the fact that it took so long because you didn't have the machine, and we didn't know you needed the machine, and Commissioner Gonzalez and I were pleased to help find funds for that, because truly, if law enforcement is all signed off on this, that what seems to have happened. But the thing that's also very key is, my understanding is what you said is, if law enforcement thinks they're, as you said, a knucklehead, they can. If they don't have to cite, and what did the sheriff call it? And lieu of arrest. They don't have to cite in lieu of arrest. They have the discretion. This doesn't take away the law enforcement's discretion to say, you know what, you're a knucklehead, let's go in. And I think that's really an important aspect of this too, to be pointed out, because I can see where some people may think, well, this is a lighten the crime deal. No, it's really not. It's a lighten the burden on the taxpayer thing, and it's a lighten our jail load that we are constantly fighting with, trying to keep under the jail standards so that we don't get in trouble, and it puts the people that need to be in jail, and not that someone that does one of these crimes is it's not excusable, and they're going to pay a price for it, but I personally think this is a very good and positive program, and again, I'm just sorry we haven't been doing this sooner.
I'm very sorry as well.
No, I'm not saying that.
The logistics, but it's like when you create something, one thing I've learned in office is that everything takes a long
No, and I don't mean that as a criticism at all. No. I think it fell through the cracks. We all thought it was getting done, and you did too, and that's nobody's fault, and I'm just glad we got it fixed as quick as we could, and I'm glad we're getting this done. So I applaud your efforts and law enforcement's efforts, and I'm assuming since CCPD is represented, they're going to tell us they're all for this too, just as the sheriff hopefully will. So I thank you for it.
And the other thing that I would like to add, I would like to say that this is just a tool that they can use, and it's just something else that can add to their belt that they get to with everything on it. You know, if they decide to cite in lieu of arrest, they may do so, and if they want to run them in, then they have that power as well.
Did you check if were there other counties that were doing this?
So there are a few other counties that have similar programs, and I would like to say in Bexar County is one of the largest counties in Texas, probably the fourth largest. We're the eighth. They're trying to do this as well, but again, logistics takes a long time and laying down the infrastructure, so they're not yet. But I would like to say that we would probably be the second or third in the state, which would be something to show that, hey, Nueces County is forward-thinking, and we're trying to do what's number one, safe for low-level offenses, and number two, being physically responsible, saving the county money when, a lot of people worry about their tax-paying dollars. And if we can save the county money from my end and y'all's end, I think it's a win-win.
So let me ask, on this, if we approve today, then how much longer does it take to get the equipment in?
Good question. So the machine, we know where it's at. We know who we're buying it from. I would say that Matt told me, and if it doesn't happen, it's all on him. February 18th would look the day that we would be up. So in about 2 months from now, I mean, we could be saving the county at least what we anticipate to be the $24,000 a month.
Is that in your budget?
No, ma'am. It's and when you say in our budget, the money that
Whoever's going to pay for it.
well, I would say that comes out of the jail that we're saving. Well, ultimately, the taxpayer, but I don't know. I hope somebody gets that money. Y'all give it to me if you want. I'll take a little bit.
Before you leave, let me
Yes,
ask you this. I would be interested at the end of the year to see how many people had been given tickets and how many had been actually charged. Is that possible so that we can?
Sure. We want to keep metrics because that's the way we are held accountable, right? People say, how much people did we save from either tax paying that one night, 2 nights, and how many people actually showed up? And a question that I'm going to have personally are how many people actually come into court, right? Because we don't want to say, well, now there's going to be tons of people not showing into court. You're going to probably say, oh, these guys are smoking pot or thefts, and they're not going to remember the court dates. So that's one thing I want to make sure that we also have is that we keep the metrics on if people on the warrants that are actually being issued because people don't come to court. But we want to keep these metrics so next year when you ask us, I could say, guys, we saved you, $500,000 this year, or you know what, I was wrong, and maybe it's time we go another route.
Well, and that is a concern because marijuana does hurt your memory. So if they forget to pay the fine, that would be interesting to know.
Commissioner Vaughn, I would say I do not know that, personally.
I think there's evidence of that.
I would agree with you.
Well, if we have to issue a bunch of warrants and we have to send manpower out to go get them, then that becomes a problem and an expense.
Correct.
And so we got to look at all this. But I think this is a step in the right direction, and sometimes you got to try things and see how it goes.
Well, I hope next year we are not. We're saying we did a good job.
Anytime you keep somebody out of jail, we're saving money.
Thank you.
Sheriff, comments, please.
Yeah, we definitely are in favor of this. The last 3 days we've been redline with our population and we've been furloughing. And even if we can avoid 10, 20 bookings, it benefits us, it benefits the county. And so we're definitely in favor of it. It sounds like semantics. It sounds like a word game, whether we call it cite and release or cite in lieu of arrest. But it's critical to us in law enforcement. And we don't have control over how it's going to be marketed or presented in the media. But it's not a baby step towards legalization of marijuana. If it gets presented that way, that's not what it is. And just for that reason, we want to be adamant about saying this is cite in lieu of arrest, not cite and release. When the ticket is issued, they are not released. They are fully immersed in the criminal justice system, just like they would be if they were arrested. And so that's what that's all about.
And I like that, cite in lieu of arrest. I really do, and I like the fact that we're not just going to focus on the marijuana. It's all those other Class A and B misdemeanors because this is not to decriminalize marijuana.
There's a place to change the law, but it's not in the enforcement of the law, and it's not in the prosecution of the law.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Chief, anything?
Thank you. Judge, Commissioners, thank you for having me here today. Commander Breedlove, Corpus Christi Police Department. I'm here to support that on behalf of Chief Markle and our department. This endeavor, we've been working on it for quite a while. Actually started under Mr. Skirka, and we didn't quite get there. And so we've been working with Mr. Manning and Mr. Gonzalez, and we believe we've got a good process in place. And I think a good point is that this is just a discretionary tool. It was provided to law enforcement through the legislators several years ago, and I think we're now at a point where we have a good process to go forward, and we will continue to arrest people that are, causing a breach of the peace, and then there's some opportunities for, first-time offenders and minor crimes, younger people making mistakes. It's not much different to the MIP laws that are out there for persons underage drinking. Sometimes we arrest them when they need to be arrested, and sometimes we cite them because that's the right thing to do. So that's sort of the way that we're approaching this.
Well, the only thing that I would ask is really we need to really publicize this quite a bit to educate the public, and people say, I didn't know about it or whatever. I think it's really very important that we actually work with the Color Times or somebody. We really need to get it out there You know,
Sir, and our public information officer will be doing that when we get to the point where we begin to use that. That is something that we will be communicating.
maybe some flyers to the schools, maybe some whatever. Everybody needs to know.
And Commander, and for the sheriff as well, does this help in any way with officer safety? I mean, anytime that you make an arrest, that doesn't, you go hands-on, that always could lead to a problem, even if you consider it something more minor like this, and where people may know, like it's something more simple, that I'm just going to be cited and not go on my way and appear at court and later on. So can this help?
Yeah, that's not. I don't believe that's anything we've ever considered because our officers they approach each call with that level of safety, and they're constantly going through that. But yes, arresting, actually putting persons into custody, sometimes does end up in physical altercations. So that is maybe something that we will see.
I just want to applaud y'all for working together, the DA and the sheriff and the CCPD, and I think it's important that we always include y'all when anything's ever changed.
Very important.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, guys. You want to make the motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. All right, we go to R. I'm sorry, P. P.
I just want to explain to me what exactly this is.
Every year, we have to provide the GLO a revised list of our equipment so that they know what our reimbursement application would be. So all this is just a revised application showing this equipment we have, these are the rates we're able to charge per the equipment we use for beach maintenance.
Okay. All right. So moved. I make a motion to it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. I think we're on R.
I just
Or
actually wanted this tabled.
R?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Well,
you
I
were
wanted
gonna
that
table it?
tabled, yeah.
Okay, it's going to be tabled.
I'm sorry. We good or ready to move on?
Okay, I think we're on T.
Well, no. Then you have to,
Did we pull R?
yeah, then y'all need to, someone needs to make.
I make a motion to table R.
second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to table R. All in favor? Aye, pose same sign. Okay, where am I now? T?
T.
Um,
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm looking at both of these. Why do we have two different contracts? And are you aware that at the end of the term, if y'all renew it, it's going to increase by 7%, and then every 12 months it's going to increase again? What is this?
Belinda and I both can comment on this. This is the online Westlaw that is used by the district attorney, the county attorney, and the judges. And I have an account as well. It's for online legal research. The district attorney wanted some updates, and the county attorney got rid of some stuff and wanted some additional stuff. And so we went into the negotiation process. This is a very proprietary service. We got really competitive with another competitor at one time called LexisNexis, but everybody likes Westlaw. And so we think that we negotiated as best as we could. We cut some stuff. The district attorney is getting the stuff that they want, and it's only like a penny more a month, I think, Belinda. And the county attorney is getting the stuff that they want, and it's like $48 more a month. Is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner. So basically, Westlaw, because we all have different libraries, we do separate agreements. That way, it's kind of customized for each office. So first of all, that's why there's separate agreements. Also, the agreement that we had with Westlaw was actually a 4-year agreement, and it was going to go up 2% this year anyway. And the representative contacted Tyner and said, hey, if y'all want to renegotiate, see about keeping the prices down, see if there's anything else you need. So basically, for the most part, the prices kind of stayed the same with the 2% increase that we were going to have. But the DA's office actually got more material for the same price. And we were able to substitute something we needed because we were getting it on CD, and IT was telling us we were no longer going to be able to support it on CD. So we were able to wrap it up in that Westlaw agreement.
Okay, is it automatic renewal after the 36 months, or do y'all get the option to say no because it's 7% increase?
No, it will end after the 36 months.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you. Now, that wasn't so bad, was it, guys? It went fast.
About X.
One more.
Another one, X? Okay.
But did we
You need to approve that.
need to approve T?
Make a motion to approve T.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, pose same sign. I think I'm to X.
Okay, the question I have on this is our building that we're going to lease, or the county's building. So you're going to put it out for bids? This is a very large building. So if you come up and someone says, I want to bid it for $1,000, it's low bid, you're going to take it, or do y'all have something that you're going to start at?
This is a property that's been leased out multiple times over the years. In fact, we're just finishing out the Fourth Amendment renewal on this property again. And so we've got some good history to note the figures that routinely come in. And there's a tenant currently in that location. And I haven't heard any indications that they're wanting to vacate. So I assume they're going to reapply for that lease again.
Is it being leased for a fair value?
I would defer that question to an expert in that field. I only have the history to go by what the county has done.
We probably need to know that, because if we're going to lease a building that's 5,200 square feet, I mean, we don't want $1,000 to lease it. So
What do we pay? What are we getting now?
I'll have to check with John at the airport and see what we're getting on that. I don't know if he's available right now for that figure.
We don't have that. We don't have that type.
I just don't want to give it away.
Sure. But right now, this is just the request to go out for bid, and we can come back to you with that information.
Because we don't have to accept them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Make a motion to approve X.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, pose same sign. Okay, thanks. We're through with that. Okey doke. Just moving right along today. Regular agenda items. Item number 1 on the regular agenda items. Who's going to make that presentation? Melissa? Is she here? Come on up. Good morning.
Morning. I'm going to have to lower that a little bit. My name is Tiffany Montemayor, and I'm the Director of Communication and Development for the Council on Alcohol and Drug Abuse, Coastal Bend. This is my third time presenting to the court today. And before I begin, I also just want to thank Judge Lloyd Neal for the 40 years that he's devoted to our community. And you probably don't remember, but 20 years ago, when you were the mayor, you let an 11-year-old girl from the Windsor Park Elementary newspaper interview you. And that was me. And so now everyone knows I'm 31, almost. And that was an amazing experience for me, and it was definitely one of the building blocks, I think, that I knew that when I grew up, I was going to devote myself to our community and to public service, and that's exactly what I'm doing here with the council. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You know, she asked me 3 questions. How old are you? How tall are you? And how much money do you make?
And then he said, how much money? And I rethought going into public service. But no, it's still one of my goals. And so I hope to someday serve our community as well as you have. Thank you very much for that. So with the council, we've had another really great year. Our education programming has provided curriculum to thousands of students, and in just October alone, you may know about Red Ribbon Week. Just in that week, our education specialists provided presentations to over 4,000 students, and that was in 1 week, to go over, you know, the dangers of drug and alcohol use and prevention tips and things like that. And so that's very, very important. And one of the reasons that's so important is because right now, you all know, and I know this court cares so much about it, is the opioid crisis that everyone is experiencing. And all of our efforts in all of the different programs that we have at the council are geared toward helping with that. And because just not one thing is going to help that. It starts in everyone's home, and it's something that everybody needs to work on. And so one of the ways that we work on that is we have our prescription drug drop boxes, and the county sheriff has one there, and people can go there to anonymously drop off their prescription drugs, whether they're expired or unused. And so as of today, we have these 8 drop boxes, and we've partnered with the DEA for this. We've collected over 6,000 pounds of these prescription drugs. And what that means is that those 6,000 pounds are not sitting in grandma's cabinets at home where her grandchildren or children or strangers can go and get those, because I have to tell you, you know, where a lot of these people are getting prescription drugs to misuse, it's not from drug dealers on the corner. It's from their house, and it's from their aunt's house and their friend's house. That's where they're getting them from. And so it's so important that we do work to remove those from houses, and that's what these drop boxes are doing. And one of our coalitions is responsible for getting those boxes out there. And another really great thing that our coalition has done is they've partnered with 14 area school districts to make a policy with the schools and the nurses to have they're a very special kind of bag. It's a drug disposal bag. They put the prescription drugs in there, and there is a chemical in there that disposes of them properly, because also, you can't just throw them in your trash can. People can still get them out of a trash can. Not good to flush them down the toilet. That could lead to water problems, but I mean, we don't really have water problems, so that's okay. You know, you can't just throw them again. You can't throw them away. It causes a big problem. So these are one of the best ways to dispose of that with these bags. And so now there are all these schools in our community that the nurses have the bags. They can properly dispose of these drugs. And again, they're not sitting in cabinets at the schools or anywhere else. And so these are just some of the things that our agency is doing to work on that. And then, of course, we also have our postpartum and intervention department. And this is one of the saddest statistics, and I'm not sure if you know, but every 25 minutes, a baby is born suffering from an opioid withdrawal, which is ridiculous. And that tells me that this problem is just, you know, it's a vicious cycle. And so what our program does is help those women with the support services that they need while they're pregnant, so that they can properly get off of these drugs, because it's not safe for the baby for them to just stop cold turkey, and to make sure that they have all the resources that they need throughout the community. And so we help them with that. And so the money that you all give us each year is, of course, part of our matching funds, so that we can continue to have all of these programs that are out there educating our kids and helping fight this opioid crisis. And I just shouted out a lot of numbers, but really quickly, one last thing, because you may not remember the numbers. I want you to remember a 15-year-old named Joe. There's a lot of Joes in here today, too. I didn't know that, but his name is Joe. And he started using marijuana, Xanax, and I believe hydrocodone when he was 13. He also started robbing convenience stores and doing other things like that, just trying to gain the respect of friends, which is a weird way to do that, but I guess that's the way it is for teens today. And so he had been arrested several times, and he finally came to our treatment program this past February. He, since then, his attitude has changed. He works better with his PO officer. He had all zeros in school and had failed many years. By the time he was done with our program, he was making all A's, which was even better than I did whenever I was in high school. All A's. His attitude was completely different. He was helping his grandmother at home. He graduated from our program. He's not in the system anymore. He's not part of that vicious cycle anymore that he unfortunately came out of. His dad is in prison. His mom is on a corner somewhere. He doesn't know where his mom is. But he looks at life completely different now. And he and his grandmother say that they owe that to the council and to our program and to the counselors that we have. And so I want you to remember Joe and not just those numbers, because the money that the court gives us to help us fund our programs is what's helping Joe and everyone else out there who's in his position.
Thank you.
I want to say I won't forget the name Joe, that's for sure.
Yes,
So-
don't forget it.
The other thing I want to just let you know, we have a box at the in Bishop. They're working
Yes,
very well.
you do. And that is from us. You're welcome.
Working very well. And also the black bags, we distribute those out during the coalition meetings.
Yes.
So making sure all the other agencies get them and pass them out. But I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you, your staff, everybody else, for working with a population that's really tough. And some people don't want to work with that population. But I want to commend you for the work that you all do. I know it's got to come from your heart. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll let everyone back there know.
I need a motion, please. There's a motion. Is there a second? Any other comment, questions? See none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
And thank you, despite your interview with Judge Neal, for your continuation of public service.
Yep. I'm still the same height.
Making more money, though.
Oh, yeah. Amy, I don't see any.
Judge, can we come back to number 2? Amy's on the way.
All right, fine, we can. We certainly will. We tabled 3, number 4. Libraries, good morning, Ida. How are you all doing today? Good.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good to see you.
I'm very happy to be here this morning with Crystal. We wanted to provide to the court our end-of-the-year report for our stats for the whole year. We had a very eventful year last year. We had a lot of activities the whole year with children and our activities, and Crystal did a little PowerPoint, and we went ahead and gave all of you a little presentation so y'all could review.
Sure. Hi.
Hi, good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Hope you're having a good morning. So I provided a little pamphlet there for y'all for our presentation just to get started. We are going to go over our yearly statistics, our summer reading statistics, our Bishop Backpack Food Program, our Bishop Back to School Supply Giveaway, and our special project grants that we had these past 3 years.
It's switching.
Just go over our mission. We promote literacy and lifelong learning through community through our educational, social, cultural, and information, recreational resources. We are a family-placed library, which we were the first one in one of the first ones in the state of Texas. We are part of a network of children's librarians that we believe that literacy begins at birth, and we build healthy communities. We do host about 2 to 3 playgroups throughout the year at the Keach Family Library.
There we go.
Yeah. And as you can see, our yearly patron count our highest was in June, which was about 5,000 people attending our at the Keach Library. Our lowest was in December 2017, which was about 3,000. For Bishop, as y'all known, it was 630 square feet. Now it's about 1,400 square feet. Our highest patron count was in June of this year, 1,600. February and September was about 402. Our library programs for Keach, we had 390 programs. For Bishop, 138 programs. For our highest attendees for kids was about 7,000 kids that we had attend our Keach library programs. Teens, 3,000, and adults, 5,000. For Bishop, we had about 1,500 kids, 97 teens, and 633 adults. This year, our circulation counts for Keach grew to 92,300 physical items. Our highest checkouts with our DVDs were 12,000. Our picture books for children were the second highest, was 3,800. For Bishop, we had 3,795 physical items checked out there. Our first highest were picture books, 543, and our kids' nonfiction books were 291. And we are part of Overdrive. I know I gave y'all business cards called Libby, so you are able to download ebooks and audiobooks. We are part of a South Texas consortium, which contains 27 libraries. With that, the checkouts with Keach and Bishop together, that's 4,484 checkouts that have been downloaded on your tablet or your computer. Now we are able to take count of our countage, how many people use our computers and our Wi-Fi with our EnvisionWare time management software. Our highest count that people have been coming in to use our computers was in October. We had 1,000 people use our computers at the Keach Library. Our lowest was December, last December, 686. Our Wi-Fi, we are able to count through our firewall, which our highest was of August 2018, 230,000 have used our Wi-Fi in the Keach Library, and our lowest was in January, which was 43,000. For Bishop, we have not yet done our EnvisionWare, but we are hoping to soon, so we manually count that, so about 540 users use our computers at Bishop. This year, a summer reading program was a theme called Libraries Rock, so it was about either music or geology. So we focused mainly more about music, and with that, our participants are able to log on to Read Squared and register online through our website. And about 289 people signed up for our Keach Library, and at Bishop, 103 registered. And this includes kids, teens, and adults. Our goal this year was about 200,000 minutes, but we surpassed that with 260. As you see, our minutes at Keach were 143,000 and Bishop 116. And we continue to support literacy around the coastal bend and have the kids come to read at the county libraries. Our summer programs, we did quite a few for our summer, just for June and July, which was 118 programs. And Bishop, we had 51 programs. You can see our highest was at Keach with 3,000 with kids, teens 2,000, and adults 3,000 that attended our programs at Keach. Bishop, too, has also grown significantly since our growth in that building, 728 kids, 62 teens, and 361 adults. With all these programs, we've done a toddler dance party, concert with the orchestra. We also had a pianist from Kingsville come in and do an orchestra, play the piano at the library. We had STEM music, coding. We had some of our STEM robotics toys. We had Clifford come and show up at the Keach and Bishop Library as well. We also did partnerships with the Gulf Coast Humane Society to do our Read and Roll program. And I just want to say thank you to our sponsors for donating your support and for us to spread literacy across Nueces County and beyond, because residents do come out from outside Nueces County to use our public library. We did our back-to-school giveaway at Just Bishop. We want to thank Commissioner Jag and the Catholic Daughters for funding some of these backpacks. We provided 52 backpacks with supplies with paper, scissors, pencils, and pins with those that were on their supply list. We were also able to partner with our Coastal Bend Food Bank with Miss Kathy Rios approached us. We had distributed 538 backpacks of food, and as you can see, all the zip codes there, Bishop, Kingsville, Alice, Driscoll, Petronila, Corpus Christi, and Calallen residents were able to benefit from these backpacks of food. Our special projects grant this year was called Tech Your Read at the Library 3.0. As you may have known, we have it the last 2 years. This year, we were able to get $74,962 of funds with our special grants, thanks to the Institute Museum and the Texas TSLAC of the Texas State Libraries Archives Commission. And we did some in-house library surveys of which kids and adults came into the library. You can see we had 1,955 surveys that we totaled. Precinct 1 had 710 residents that came into the library. Precinct 2, 92. Precinct 3, 530. Precinct 4, 500, and that included the Port Aransas when they came to do their field trip. And we also went out to Port Aransas to do their literacy night out there.
So I want to hit on that because physically it's in Precinct 3.
Yes.
We look at the huge amount of across-the-board support from all the commissioner precincts, especially I thought I was going to have the most.
Yeah.
I feel a little competition now with Commissioner Vaughn on those numbers. So that's great. And even the 500 that we see in Precinct 4, you would think Precinct 4 is far away. Of course, London is closer than maybe you would find the island or Port A, but that you're incorporating them as well. And, of course, Bishop, because they have their own branch, we're not going to see as big number.
Yes.
That shows to me, when we talk about budgets, and we got to be mindful of that, that's going to be here before we know it, is the impact, the outreach that you all have. And I'm going to say, when you all have when you take the library out like we all had it at the Ortiz Center, Community Center last summer. And I think I bumped a few kids out of the way because I wanted to play with the robots. I love that little orbit that y'all always bring everywhere.
Yes.
I just think that's the neatest thing. But once again, I mean, these numbers really show across the board.
And just to let you know, these are in-house library surveys.
Right.
This year, we are doing outreach library surveys. So when we go out to Robstown ISD, to Agua Dulce, to Banquete, to Woodland Creek, the Prospera outreach, to Bishop Kingsville, Rivera coming out. That's why you see outside Nueces County 123. We try and do surveys now with our iPads that we were able to get with our grants. So we have our forms that we do surveys, pass around the iPads to the kids, or they come and stand in line and they do the surveys.
And I love that I can go to Whataburger at the outlets, have my
Yes, we've gone.
still be on the Wi-Fi.
Yes, that does.
Wi-Fi.
Yes, it reaches out all the way sometimes to Whataburger when the wind is out there. So like, people are using our Wi-Fi out there. So yes, I want to thank our IT and it's Education Appreciation IT day-to-day. So I want to thank them as well for helping us get that. And to go over.
So if we miss Commissioner Moritz, I just need to go over to the library and see what he's playing with.
Oh, yes. As you can see from our pictures there. Yes. And we've gone to the outlets to do program out there. And we'll hopefully continue to do more. And as you can see from our pictures, we see some of our STEM robotics, our Osmo, which are educational system, which promotes social intelligence and creative thinking. Our Dot and Dash is a picture in the bottom. You'll see it's a toy robot that makes coding fun. Makey, an invention kit. Our Legos We Do 2.0, as you see the little girl right there with our, she played a little doll. With our hands-on STEM solution, which helps build collaboration, problem solving, and they explore creative thinking. We have Little Bits, which is electrical building blocks, and they learn about circuits. And our 3D printing classes and our other tech classes that we have, because we like to get out to the community and tell them that libraries transform. We are a cutting edge. We're a learning hub for our community. We go out there and we want to give the communities access to our to emerging technologies that are available to our patrons. And altogether, with our special grants that we did the past 3 years, we had a total of funds that we got $224,228. I just want to also thank our grants department for helping us out as well for using these funds appropriately. And also, we had our, you see our growth participants went up with our STEM. We did go out to the Corpus Christi Comic Con this year at the Richard Borcher Fairgrounds. We had a table and we were able to provide also a workshop and talk to them about our robotic STEM. So a lot of people from, like I said, Mathis, Sinton, San Antonio, Houston came to the Corpus Christi Comic Con and learned about Nueces County Public Libraries. And I just want to thank you all, and you can follow us on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We post a lot of pictures. We post our information, our calendar of events. Our patrons love to see their pictures on there and our videos that we post. And thank you all again, and thank you, Judge, for your continued support for these past years that we had with, I know we helped support Laura and us with our libraries to promote. And thank you, Commissioners, and we hope you continue to support your public library and that we are doing the best we can as a community hub for the patrons.
Good job. Thank you all very much.
Clapping.
Ida, you can bring her back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate your.
You bet. Have a
Thank
great
you.
Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge Amy Granberry is here now.
Well, it is Amy Granberry. Good morning. Where'd you leave your horse?
I apologize. Tyner, we have slides? Okay.
It is good.
Great.
We're on item 2.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you for having me today.
You bet.
I appreciate being here, and I'm going to run through these real quick and then kind of talk about some of the changes at Charlie's Place
Okay.
to update you. Tyner?
Amy, you can't control it from there. You ready?
Yes.
Next slide? Okay.
So, as you know, the county gives us a $45,000 grant, and we use that to match the funds that we get from the state of Texas to provide indigent care. For the last year, our state grants were $3,125,610, which requires a local cash match of $156,281, of which the Nueces County provides the $45,000 or 29% of that. With that, we're able to provide detox services inpatient services, outpatient services, specialized female services, mental health services, and recovery support services for those who qualify for indigent care. Go ahead, Tanner. Always try to give you an idea of who we're serving. This year has a comparison of FY18 and FY17 based on the primary drug of choice.
Thank you.
The way we look at the primary drug of choice is the drug they used most often in the last 30 days and the most of. For 16 and 17, heroin was number one after 53 years of alcohol being number one. This year, alcohol edged slightly ahead, but heroin did not decrease dramatically. So we are still seeing the effects of the opiate crisis that you hear about on a nationwide basis here in Nueces County. And on top of the heroin, you also see more opiates further down under just the opiate category, and that is your prescription opiates that are being abused as well. Go ahead, Tyner. Just some demographic highlights of who was served. Our youngest client last year was 18. Our oldest was 80, which is a little bit different for us. Our largest age group has moved down into that 25 to 34. When I started in the field, it was around the 45 to 50 age group. So we have seen that age group become much younger. One of the things that I like to report to you is how many children have a better life because their parents came into treatment. And last year, that number was 1,499 children under the age of 18 were attached to the parents that we provided treatment for. So I like to give you that to show the family impact that treatment has. We served 741 injecting drug users last year. Those come at a much higher risk. They have multiple medical complications because they are using in a much more dangerous way and a much more high-risk lifestyle. So a lot of other things come with that. 97 honorably discharged veterans, and we're going to come back to our veteran services in just a moment. 769 heroin or other opiate users, and last year we served 72 of the 254 counties in Texas and 4 other states, not with state dollars, but those that chose to come to us for treatment. So what's new? And this is where I'm going to spend a little bit of time, just a couple of minutes. Most of you have heard that we joined the Synacor Foundation family out of Houston, and that was official on October 1st. So there's a lot of things that are new with that. We are now part of a system that covers, we have facilities in Fort Worth, Tyler, Waco, Temple, Killeen, Austin, San Marcos, Corpus Christi, 2 in Houston, and 2 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as of today. It makes us a part of a much larger system, so if somebody is coming to us and calling for services and we don't have a bed available, we now have resources across the state where we can see if someone else has a bed available. So we're starting to see a little bit of a decrease in our wait list and our wait time by being part of that larger family. Also, the really exciting part is we are about to kick off about $1 million of construction and renovation to our building, and we will be adding at least 60 beds of long-term treatment. That is a totally different treatment model than we've ever offered here. We'll be able to take people in for up to 2 years. It includes an intense vocational services model as well as career services, and it's ideally designed for the person who's had 3 or more times in treatment already. They may have already had 8 to 10 brushes with the law, so they have multiple issues they need to deal with. Where most of the people we see in short stay, only about 25% of them need a GED. In the long term, 60 to 70% of them come in without that educational background. We're able to help provide that GED program as well as move them into vocational services. So when we get that up and running, which will be soon in the next 12 months, we're going to need all of our vocational partners because we're going to have a clean, sober workforce that we can put to work. And so we really will be talking a lot more about that as we move forward. So we're very excited about that. Also, just wanted to touch on what we're doing for the veterans. We are now contracted with both Corpus Christi, the Valley Coastal Bend Veterans Region, as well as Houston, and working with other VAs across the state where we can serve more veterans on a daily basis. And I haven't looked at my count today, I haven't been at the office, but we have about 25 veterans either in Corpus, Houston, or Baton Rouge being served today that we're waiting on a wait list in Houston. for anywhere from 12 to 18 months to receive inpatient services. So we're providing non-VA community care and getting those veterans access to services much more quickly, which I am incredibly passionate about. And then we're also, as you know, partnering with what is their name now? Nueces County Mental Health and IDD in the jail diversion project that the court and the hospital district are supporting. So we're also doing that right now. And that, I think, is it. Yes, the rest of it is financials that came over. So.
Questions?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for all you do. You guys really, and I'm really glad to hear about those 60 beds. I mean, it's really going to be awesome for this community.
We're very excited.
And also on education partners, you talk about GEDs, and really that's dear to my heart. So I'd like to partner, I have somebody can partner with you. In Delmar, we're kicking the new GED program in January. So down the line, if you got people that want to get their GED, maybe partner with Delmar, we'll have an instructor over there. And but also, if they get their GED, we can pay for the GED test, which is $130.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and then get you your scholarship to go to Delmar if they want to go to Delmar.
That's fantastic.
So we can help you in that area.
Amy, how's the jail diversion project going?
It's growing. I know we're serving people and it's working. I've seen police drive up to drop people off and bring them in. So as with this merger, my role's changed a little bit. So I'll just speak to that for just a second. You're very used to seeing me. This is probably the last time that I will be here. Our local facility director will be taking over some of those presentations moving forward. As of last Saturday, I'm now responsible for both Corpus Christi, but also our adolescent and adult facilities in Houston. So my role has shifted a little bit, and then I will be staying here, but working with all three of those facilities for now. So Courtney will probably be the next person that's here in front of you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Amy, thank you. We've had a great relationship for 20 years.
I am just excited that I got to be here today and
Thank you.
give this myself. Thank you for everything,
Thank you.
Judge.
Thank you very much. It's been a
to all
great
of
20 years.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I need a motion. Have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Come back tomorrow and have lunch with us. All right. All right, folks, we're going to go to Public Works. I want to set the stage a little bit. I think the commissioners know this, but just so we'll all know, we've been dealing for a number of months with some very, very old chillers in our air conditioning and heating system. And we're going to be presenting to you today, it looks like I got a quorum, but I'm going to be presenting to you today some options. We're not going to take any action today, except maybe ratify a contract or something else. But we've been meeting with the auditor. We've been meeting with Public Works, engineers, Edward, others who have an interest, Deepak, wherever he is. We have turned our contract over that we have with Johnson Controls, to the county attorney and ask her to review that contract to make sure that any action we take as a court, either today or next week or whenever, when you take it, that we don't mess up our relationship in some way, because that contract's very important. It has some savings in it if we do things right. I'm going to quit talking, but commissioners, I want you to know this is one of the very serious problems we have in the courthouse. And if we can't find a way through your efforts in the next year or next few months to do something, we stand the chance of waking up one day in a very cold courthouse or a very hot courthouse. And I've had those calls from the 7th, 8th, and 9th floor about it being hot or cold. And the new county judge doesn't need those. So I'm going to turn this over to Public Works. They've done a lot of work for us, commissioners. And we will take this through the agenda items that are necessary, and then we'll move on. Okay, Juan, you're up.
Judge, can I ask before, now that you've laid that out so wonderfully, I tried to jump in before you got started. Would there be any way, and I apologize, I should have asked for it, did all that we could let the people that are here on this Port A issue go first? Because this is going to take a long time, and I don't want to make them sit here any longer. And I think,
Fine.
Okay.
Sure. What item is it?
It's number 3. He was speaking on it earlier, and I would like to let him get back up if that's okay. I apologize for...
All right, this is the item. Did we get the resolution from the port? We did not?
It's not a resolution, it's just a letter.
Letter?
Yeah, there's no
We
resolution.
got a copy of that from yesterday?
It's attached to.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I hadn't read that part. All right, I'm going to call for public comment again on item 3, sir, and you're certainly welcome to come back and state your opinion, and we'll listen. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, I came up before.
Sure, go ahead.
Doing it again. As both a Port Aransas resident and a member of the Port Aransas Conservancy, I'm here to discuss the apparent picking of winners by the Port of Corpus Christi and now seemingly by Nueces County. Commissioners are meeting today in regards to a letter that they're sending to or considering sending to the General Land Office that points out the supposed flaws of another company's efforts to export oil from the coastal bend. I'd like to think that the county commissioners are actually concerned about the environmental impacts of the offshore terminal versus an inshore terminal. Though right now it seems that your deep concerns are more about keeping the Port of Corpus Christi's monopoly on the export of oil and the money from that. It seems that we've got two governmental entities attempting to derail a private enterprise so as to maintain power and the money. In the letter, we read the letter, and I take exception as a resident on the assertion stated to GLO that states many people from all over the country build homes to enjoy the beachfront on Mustang Island in Nueces County. Note that there's no mention of the impacts to Port Aransas of the port's proposed VLCC supertanker inshore terminal that would be built directly across the channel from Port A. This will severely impact a vibrant community that is totally reliant on tourism made possible by the pristine waters to include the Redfish Bay State Scientific Area that, along with Port A, is still recovering from Hurricane Harvey. Who will want to invest in vacation homes in what will likely be rechristened the new Port Arthur? Who will come and support this community that is apparently viewed simply as collateral damage? The county tax collector, Ronnie Canales, noted that the effects of Hurricane Harvey were drastic in the Mustang Island, Port Aransas area. He said that the county finances took a hit too because of Port Aransas. Well, I thought it was because of Hurricane Harvey. But do you think that our recovery will not be negatively affected by the presence of VLCCs and a proposed desal plant that will become the new view along our waterfront? Instead, our economy will suffer a longer-lasting negative impact that will also affect the viability of our school district, as tax dollars will fall in proportion to devaluation of property and the loss of tourism dollars. Since nearly 80% of all commercially important marine organisms, shrimp, crab, and fish, utilize the estuary regions along the Texas Gulf Coast at some stage of their normal growth cycle, it's extremely important economically, ecologically, legally, and politically that disruption of these major estuarine ecological regimes occur as seldom as possible. While we support the port's efforts to bring more revenue to the area, I'm talking about the Port Aransas Conservancy. The Port Aransas Conservancy is strongly opposed to the disaster that this project would entail for the ecology of the area and the economy of Port A. So we support a far less environmentally destructive alternative, and that's the offshore oil port that you're now considering, supporting essentially, or not supporting by sending that letter to GLO, saying that that's a bad solution. In closing, I would just ask that you consider all the options, that you don't pick a winner today when there's other options out there. That offshore terminal is really a better solution. It's an industry standard. Look around. There's not a lot of deep water supertanker ports on the planet, much less in Port A in a very restricted environment. That channel's not much wider than the length of that ship. There's a whole lot of things that are going to have to happen to make the port's chosen thing happen. Also, I'd like to ask on behalf of our director of PAC that possibly you guys could add an agenda item in the future, be it next month or the following month, to hear some of the options from the one group that's visible in this ongoing discussion with the port. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morris.
I have a lot of questions. Don't leave. Wait, sir. I got a lot of questions. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we had a meeting set up and then you had to cancel for some reason. Was that you or somebody from Port A? I'm sorry, it was Mr. Donovan, because they wanted to talk and we had a meeting set and then he had to cancel. So I'm a little confused because to me it sounds like you're mixing the harbor. What's that one called? Sorry.
It's kind of being mixed, yeah.
Okay.
In the letter that I read that's being proposed to go to GLO, the county is saying that offshore proposal that Trifler or whatever, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name.
Traffic year.
Yeah, that they're proposing is a bigger problem than.
Wait, did you read the letter that we have today? Because it doesn't say anything about a problem. It just asks questions. The letter that we have, I want to make sure, can someone make sure you have that letter? The letter that we have, and maybe I'm trying to get my arms around this. My understanding is, and if I'm wrong, correct me, the county has nothing to do with Harbor Island because that's not a regulated deal. It's a piece of private property. And I don't know much about it because, quite honestly, nobody's talked to me about it because all I can read is that some people don't like Harbor Island, but that we, the county, have nothing to do with Harbor Island. If this is wrong, tell me, because they're not regulated by the GLO or someone else. That's a private entity, and they can do what they pretty much want. Right? Is that correct, or is that incorrect?
There's obviously significant permitting issues that are associated with the development on Harbor Island. There are some old covenants from back in the old days from the Railroad Commission that potentially limit what can be done there. Essentially, right now it has a brownfield designation that means that you really can't disturb anything on it, according to Railroad Commission. So that's a question that still has to be answered.
Okay, so Harbor Island's not before us today. This is simply, and I want to make sure you've read this because there is nothing in here that opposes anything. I went back when you started up here, and that's what. No, this letter. In other words, get him a copy of the letter, please, because when you came up, I was kind of surprised because when you came up, I'd read this letter before, and all it does is ask questions because the GLO is the body in which they get the counties, the cities, and they say, give us your responses, give us your questions, whatever. Okay, so when you came up and started saying what you're saying, I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're not opposing anything. We're just simply asking questions about some things that are very important, bird watching, and we have Clayburgh County land over there that we're concerned about deed restrictions, the effect that it may have on it, air quality attainment. So we're asking questions of the GLO and have taken no position on this because until we get our questions answered, and Judge, if I'm wrong on this, correct me, until we get our questions answered, I don't know how we would even come close to taking a position on this, or if we would take a position on this. So I just want to make sure when you leave here that you've read the same letter I've read, and maybe you see something I don't see, because I don't see anything saying the county is opposing. It's just saying, hey, we got questions and we got concerns, and the GLO has invited us to ask questions, and that seems to be all we're doing. So, okay. And if Harbor Island comes before us later and we've got to have the same opportunity to raise questions and raise issues, then I guess we will, but I don't know much about Harbor Island because honestly nobody's had a Harbor Island agenda item in front of me. I just know about this a little bit more than a little bit, but because this was on our agenda. So I'll give you a second to read that, but I don't see anything in here I would think you would have the same questions that we have. I would think the city of Port A would have the same questions about this, and I'm certainly going to send it to the mayor and the city manager and say, hey, guys, is there anything in here that's offensive? Because all we're doing is asking questions.
Okay, I guess, and maybe it was a perception on our part. This thing came very
fair. Sure.
Literally, we saw it for the first time like yesterday.
That's fair.
And it felt that the perception of people that read it was that it was fair. It might be it might be an interpretation issue, but it seems like everybody the port has been vocal. I think they sent a letter to the governor, I believe, wanting him to weigh in on this offshore solution that years ago the port did support when it was their idea. So I guess what the PAC wants is some definite transparency on what's been going on. Questions going back to the port have oftentimes been difficult to get answers. I haven't been involved in much of that. I was unfortunately the only one that's available to come today with things that exploded, very
Sure.
quickly.
No, and I appreciate that you even came, because I didn't know this was even an issue until you stood up here before, and that's why when you came up here before, we can't comment, we can't talk to you on public comment, and so because it was an agenda item, it's better because then we can have a dialogue and you can get the transparency that you want, because as you hopefully know, I mean, I'm very involved in Port A and very much active out there, and certainly don't want to do anything that hurts Port A, but I don't think this does, because it just asks questions. I get that you may have questions or whatever, but from this body's perspective, this is all we are doing right now. And if something comes of this that the questions aren't answered clearly, or that we think it's going to hurt our land, deed restrictions, or it's going to hurt the environment, we're going to deal with those, well, I hope, independently of Harbor Island, because like I said, I really don't know much about Harbor Island, and we can't even really talk about Harbor Island because it's not on our agenda, but it sounded like you're kind of mixing the two, and I want to make sure that you go back and say, hey, look, okay, here's the letter. All they're doing is asking questions, because, sir, that's all we're doing. And I promise you, I'll be out in Port A with this letter and talking to those folks, and anybody who wants to, if you want to come back and talk to the court, I'll put it on the agenda. I'm happy to do it. If you want to meet again, I'll meet you guys out in Port Aransas, because I don't see where this letter should be offensive to anybody, but
I guess the perception was that it seemed like they were kind of mixing, and our inability to get meaningful dialogue with the port makes us, I guess, naturally suspicious.
Understandably so. I'm not saying that. There's people from the port here that I know they're in the audience, they're listening. Our new county judge is a former port commissioner, so if anyone has more insight on what's going on, she will. And I know she is definitely willing to talk to you about anything. She's talked to everybody she can since election, so she's willing to do it. I'm not committing her, sorry, I'm not meaning that, but I know she's very open to it and will happily discuss. But again, I've said it 6 times, but I want to make it clear, we're just asking questions. We're not taking any position today at all. And unless someone, Judge, is that right? Is this, we're asking?
The letter speaks for itself.
Okay, okay. There you go.
So, I guess from PAC's standpoint, appreciate the time to get up here.
Sure.
I appreciate a little bit of, again,
Sure.
Things blew up quick, so maybe some perception issues. We're definitely, PAC definitely supports an offshore solution based on quite a bit of science. It's not just our feelings. It's not an out of my backyard issue. We definitely support the fact that the port is a huge, income generator for the region. We get all of that. We just definitely are going to be continuing to be in the forefront, raising our concerns as this thing, between the DSAL and the VLCC proposal, parking. You are familiar with Port A. Imagine that beautiful view from the waterfront of, a super tanker parked across the bay.
Right. And again, all we're doing is asking questions on this one. And if it gets back on the agenda to take a position, we'll certainly keep, I'll keep you posted if you'll leave your number or whatever and let you know, and you can come back and debate it again, because we very much want to be transparent on it, and I very much want the input of the people in Port Aransas. But I would think if you, like I said, if you read that letter, to me, it's just we're asking some pretty significant environmental questions because we've got them. And again, if Harbor Island poses the same questions, and if we have anything to do with that, again, I may be not understanding that project, but if we have anything to do with that, then I would assume ask the same kind of questions of them if, in fact, we're able to, because we're just able to because the GLO apparently has the say in this. Right? I guess. I think.
Yeah, and there's a huge amount of permitting issues. Obviously, it ties into, for the VLCC in port deal is 75-foot dredging. There's a whole lot of science behind what 75 feet of additional or total depth is going to do to that entire environment.
Well, I appreciate you coming. If you'll leave your name and number, my assistant went to another meeting, but if you'll leave that here with Tyner so that we can stay in contact, I'll be happy to stay in contact with you, and I'll be happy to come meet with anybody out there that you want anytime. Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Appreciate you being
Any
here.
other public comment on this item? Any other public comment on this item? Any commissioners comment about the content of the letter? If not, I think we're ready to entertain a motion to
Judge.
approve the letter being submitted as written.
I have a quick question.
Question,
I
please.
just want to clarify what we're doing. This is a letter of concerns that we have, and I'm assuming the port probably has the same concerns. And if they're concerned, we should be concerned as well, I think. Do we know, does anyone know, is this offshore terminal going to be regulated by anything or anybody? Does anyone know that?
We do not know that. Well, maybe we do.
I'm Garcia, pleasure, Florida Corpus Christi Communications. The location of the proposed offshore terminal is going to be in federal waters, so will be overall regulated by federal agencies, which is actually one of our issues in that state's not going to have any oversight.
Okay.
I'm sure y'all, if you have your own concerns, then you're addressing your concerns too, right? Your body is voting on whatever.
Yes, Commissioner.
Something. Okay. And then would you just get his name and number too, and make sure he gets some communications from y'all?
My pleasure, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Do you know, hold on just a second. Do you know who the company is? Is it a U.S. company, can you say?
No, ma'am, it's Trafigura. They're actually a Swiss-based company.
Swiss-based company.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
All right. Any other questions, concerns, comments? I'll entertain a motion to approve the letter.
Moved.
Is that a motion? Did I get a motion? Do
You
I have
got
a
it.
second? Second?
Yes, sir.
All right, I got a second. Sounds like an auction, doesn't it? I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And Brent, the letter speaks for itself. Okay. Okay. All right, let's go back to chillers. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, go.
All right.
Thank you all. Good to see you. Come back anytime. You can stand us. Okay, goodbye.
Judge, Commissioners, following the presentation from Public Works, to kind of give you a brief on the history of the existing chillers, Nueces County and the jail have two chillers. The current chillers are train chillers, which are 875-ton cooling capacity chillers. One chiller, 16 years old, the other one's 13 years old. The time that they've been used is about 40,000 hours on one of them and 10,000 on another one. I do want to make a point about those hours. Those hours are based on about 3 or 4 years ago, they went and switched the motors on them. And it's kind of like a car. It has a little digit that says that how many hours they've been run. So those hours are based on the past 3 to 4 years. I just want to point that out. Since the chillers are from 16 to 13 years, you can multiply that, and that's how much time the chillers have been in use, to kind of give you an idea. The chillers are the core of the heating and ventilation of the air conditioning system, comprised of the control boards and the cooling towers. The HVAC system at the courthouse and jail is a chill water system, and we do have a basic service agreement with Johnson Controls, which is about $223,000. And then we do have an energy savings performance contract on a phase 1 and a phase 2, which started in 2009, and another one in 2013. Neither two chillers have been completely overhauled or rehabilitated. There are signs of related failures and increase of maintenance and associated with some downtime. The chiller's heat transfer efficiency is adversely impacted by the buildup of the impurities of the deposition of the participants in the shell and the tube heat exchangers, and I'll show you a picture here in a little bit. Over the last years, there have been frequent breakdowns as part of the chillers. Approximately, we've spent about $250,000 in the previous year, to kind of give you an idea. Of course, some of it is the chillers, and then you also have some other additional stuff that's part of the chillers that includes that. The next exhibit is the overall the central plant of the chillers. This is a Metasys layout of showing how the chiller runs. It does show the two chillers. The blue is the cooling, what comes out of the chillers, and the green is pretty much the water that's coming in to get cooled by the chillers. So we do have that in the computer software where it kind of tells you everything of what the chillers are doing, at what rate they're blowing, at what CFM, and what they're cooling. Actions taken by Public Works. Train did perform a test on the existing chillers. The chillers were taken apart, and they were evaluated depending on their tubes, if the tubes have been deteriorated, and to make a recommendation if the chillers could be rehabilitated. We were exploring retrofitting the chillers with anodes and cathodes to reduce the localized electronic magnetic currents to extend the useful life and improvements performance. So what we did is we did an engineering evaluation of the existing chillers in the tower, and we did do a cost analysis of what it would cost to replace the chillers and or rehab the chillers. And in evaluating also the performance contract with JCI, and then the energy efficiency to determine the cost savings with the new chillers, and also to determine the funding source. This is a picture of the control panel for the chillers. The next one is the chiller condensing tubes. The chiller condensing tubes, this is what Trane had gone out there. They took it apart, they cleaned out the tubes, and determined if the tubes had the required thickness in those tubes to be able to be rehabbed. And that's what Trane had done for us here in the past month. Just kind of giving you an overall view of the existing chillers to determine how huge these chillers are. And then we've determined some options to present to court. One option is to overhaul the existing chillers. And the cost to do that, to overhaul the two existing chillers, you're looking at about $750,000. That's also what includes is to repair the towers, to overhaul the existing chillers, to replace the HVAC heating and water pumps, and to replace the water condensing pumps, and to increase the capacity, and upgrading the cooling water tower controls and the valves. Option two, or an option of replacing the chillers, is full replacement of the chillers. You're looking at about $2.5 million to replace both chillers. And that includes tower repairs, replace both chillers with new chillers, with new like chillers with a 10 to 15-year factory inclusive warranty. Replace both HVAC heating pump, water pumps, and the condensers, and pretty much doing the same thing as the overhaul option. In conclusion, the chillers have met their life expectancy based on the ASHRAE estimate, Society of Heating and Refrigerant and Air Conditioning Engineers. And that's a standard that's based on previous studies, and they kind of give you a timeline of how long those chillers are going to last. The analysis and the evaluation of the existing chillers, one is to rehab the chillers and get a 1-year warranty for $750,000, or full replacement of the chillers for $2.5 million with a 2-year warranty, and rehabbing the water cooling tower at the same time. Before any steps are taken, we will coordinate with JCI. If we do approach and we do replace these chillers, we will have to coordinate with JCI to make sure that they have access to where they control and tie in their controls into the new chillers. Because we're only replacing the hardware of the system, we're not replacing the controls of the system. And we also recommend, the next one is to recommend hiring an engineering consultant to assist the county with reviewing and replacing the chiller models and brands, design the complete build out of the project, design the quick connection and the mechanical host portals and connections, as well as electrical panels and portable chillers. And then the last one is the funding. There's the C of O's, the CECO, the loan, and then you also have an AEP rebate. I do want to go back to the options. On the options, and I didn't put this on here, the option is to do nothing. And if you do nothing, then what that's going to happen is that we're kind of rolling the dice and determining if the chillers are going to go out today, or they're going to go out tomorrow, or they're going to go out in the next year, or so on. If we end up doing that, what's going to happen is that we're going to have to If both chillers go down, which we have experienced that at the annex building here in the past couple of months, we are going to have to get a rental chiller and pay an excessive amount of money to have that rental chiller on a standby. We spent about $20,000 just for a 10-week standby at the annex. So we were kind of looking at that, and we're evaluating it here. The approximate cost to have a temporary chiller, if the chillers do go out, we're probably going to end up spending about $80 to $100K just to have a standby chiller. Part of our analysis and evaluation is also, if we get to that point, and we also included that into their cost, is that if we do replace the two chillers, we also have monies in there to do kind of like a quick connection. I say quick connection because instead of running conduit, electrical conduit that's 6 to 8 inches in diameter, run it on the ground, run it inside the building, and turn on the temporary chiller. We're proposing to have it to where you have a quick connection outside of the building if the two chillers come out. So that is part of the cost. And that's kind of looking ahead to make sure that if something happens like that, we do have something that we can easily connect a standby chiller.
All right, Juan, thank you. We're going to back up just a minute. Yesterday we met with Dale and with the county attorney and these folks here, and I asked Dale to do a little preliminary work in Tyner. I asked Dale to do some preliminary work on funding. I will tell you right now, issuing COs for this is out. This would never fly unless you want to build a bigger model. And the bigger model would be more debt. And I'm not telling you that's what we do. If I were here, I wouldn't do it. But that's up to the new court. But Dale, would you outline the other funding opportunities that we might have as the court moves forward?
Wait, did you say you couldn't do debt?
We could do it, but you'd have to add more debt to it to sell it. $2.5 million won't sell in the market today.
Oh, you're saying you'd have
So
to.
we'd have to do 5 or 7 or 10 or something else. And I'm not encouraging it.
No, I know
debt.
you don't, but 2.5, you can't sell a $2.5 million?
We've been told we couldn't do it.
Yeah, our financial advisor said the level of security for a CO is right at $5 million. If you go less than that, it's not really advisable to do a certificate of obligation because all the rules and requirements of the CO is not within our level, and with it being so low, we'd have to pay a lot of higher interest rates.
Yep. So he took it off the table yesterday, quite frankly.
Unless we add more cost to something or add something else that we might need, and as well as the chillers to get the level up to the $5 million or more, which is not what we're not proposing.
Or if we decided to add in some ADA work, or
you could do that.
We could do that. Yes. What you can do that, you probably need to get the value up to around at least $5 to $7 million before a certificate of obligation makes sense.
Okay. I mean, I just go ahead. I'll look at these other funding options, but I'm real curious to know what you've got up your sleeve besides.
Or when we did the retrofit of the courthouse back in 2000, I think it was 2009. We used a functionality of the state comptroller's office called SECO, which is a energy efficiency type of a loan where we get a low interest rate for that, as well as we also use one called Lone Star, also from the comptroller. We're working with Strata and Hinos to make sure where our values are. Now, those are two of the items we can use from the comptroller. We can also there's a company called Government Finance Corporation that they do financing for us. And Ernest, Noe also said that they just did a recent similar bid of a city down in the valley that they did a bank loan. So there are several items that we would look into. Most likely, the way it looks like, the balance for the SECO type loan or the Lone Star loan would be at a lower interest rate, but those both required energy savings to pay for the debt. As we had required before, our SECO requires our energy savings to pay for the debt, which would mean there would be no increase in taxes to pay for it. So what we would be doing, we're working with Strata Hinojosa, is trying to find those two levels to make sure and there's some windows of time that we have to make sure we put in our applications for through the comptroller to make sure we qualify for the funds available for both those SECO and Lone Star as well. So with that, I'm probably recommending that we probably use one of those two funding sources to have that, and those will probably get our best rate of interest for the balance we have.
Judge and Commissioners, I do want to add, if we do replace the both chillers, we will replace them, or our recommendation would be to replace them with a higher efficiency chiller. So in that, there could be some, or we're still evaluating that, but there could be some cost savings on the kilowatt and then the usage of the power. So we're looking on a monthly basis or yearly basis anywhere from 10 to 15% of the use of power. And we are looking at that, and we're trying to fine tune those numbers so that way we can give you an actual what the cost savings would be on a monthly basis. So there would be a cost savings on power.
If you replace with brand new ones.
If you replace them with brand new ones, Commissioner.
So in that savings, we can actually go back and pay for that?
Well, depending on how, when we do our final evaluation of that, Commissioner, if we do 10 to 15%, I mean, we kind of threw a number out, and we just kind of don't want to be held to this number, but we're looking anywhere from 10 to 15,000 a month.
It'll really be a savings we're not going to see. I mean, it's going to be like, we're just going to pay less.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, but you'll pay less, but at the same time, you have some.
In the long run.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the energy savings will be less, but the energy savings will have to be used to pay for the debt services based on those two funding sources that we use. So they'll require some type of savings for it to be, so they don't want you to raise taxes.
But would you be able to tell Dell exactly the amount that we'd be able to save in dollars?
That would have to be something that we would work up with the engineering to find out how much the balances would be, what the savings would be to make sure that they cover the cost of the debt. And $2.5 million right now, our one we currently have with SECO funds was around an $8 million loan we did for our lighting, our phase one. And we had to come up with about $630,000 every year in savings to pay for that, which we do. So we would probably expect the same thing for this, and we would just probably expect at $2.5 million, we'd probably have to have $200,000 or $300,000 a year in savings to be able to pay for it, and that shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I'm glad to hear $2.5 million. We come from $10 million to $7 million to $4.5 million, and $2.5 million. So it sounds a lot better, right? I mean,
we just need to figure out how to pay for it. I mean,
Yeah. Well, and this is a great discussion, but today what I really wanted the court to hear is that we have a lot of tentacles out there right now. And the item that I'm going to ask you to approve for sure is item 2, because we need to move forward on that. Juan, go ahead.
Yes, sir, and I was just going to add that to moving forward, Judge. The main thing about this is, Commissioners, these chillers are not an off-the-shelf product.
Right,
You
I
can't
forgot
go to,
that.
I'm being,
Yeah.
you can't go to Walmart and buy a chiller. And it doesn't take a month, it doesn't take 2 months, and if it doesn't take 3 months. But by the time you do your selection of what chiller, the chillers and the specs, and by the time you go out and you buy the chiller, I mean, you're looking about 9 months total. So it is going to take a while.
so move. I make a motion. We accept.
Well, and I think the important thing, what you just said, Joe, is that we need to start now with the process. We need to find out where these things are and what we're doing. And I want to tell you, there's been an awful lot of work done by these folks over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and county attorney is also involved. And so if that motion is to move forward to replace the chillers, is that your motion?
Well, wait, I'm confused.
Wait, I am too.
Yeah, I thought we were back talking about 2 now.
No, well, I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm back on item 1 on the agenda. I said what I want to make sure we do for sure is item 2, but under item 1 is to consider a course of action to repair or replace. And if I heard right, Commissioner's motion was to move forward with replacing the chillers.
We don't need to see what our financial is before we replace, and see if we can get the money before we say we're going to replace.
Well, wait, let me ask this too.
Just to see where we're at.
What, do we have to do this now, or is this one we can wait on the new judge too? No offense, but I don't want to hamstring her.
Commissioner, it's kind of like I was saying. The longer you wait, the more you're rolling the dice. And if the chillers go out, you're going to end up spending about $100K just to have a temporary chiller out there. And that's just for the temporary chiller. You still got to run all this other stuff to the chillers to be able to turn them on. Your downtime, 100K? I'm sorry, 100K. You still have your downtime. I mean, your downtime, you're going to have the jail out without the AC. Staff here is going to be without AC.
But then we could move, okay, then I guess we need to choose between replacement or repairs.
Our recommendation, Commissioner, from Public Works is to replace both chillers, fully complete. And the reason behind that is because
My motion is to replace.
yes, sir, because you do get a 10-year warranty, bumper to bumper. I'm going to steal Jared's phrase that, but you will get a 10-year bumper to bumper warranty. We will be evaluating the chillers. We're not going to go out and just select one chiller. Our plan is to go out there and look at all the chillers and determine what chillers are most efficient for the county and the most cost-effective for the county, and to be able to get a better warranty for the county, and that's what we're looking out for.
You come back to us and we approve it, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, so what is this motion for? Because you can sit there and make a motion to replace the chillers, but if you have a secured finance, you're not going to be able to replace the chillers.
Yes, ma'am, we're just kind of recommending, we're not.
So what's the motion?
Replace.
But how do we, like?
How do we know we can pay for it?
How are we going to pay for this?
We got to move forward to see where the money's coming from, and I think Dale just said something about checking with SECO to see what kind of financial assistance.
Well, I think the motion should be that we move forward to try and see if we can secure finances to replace the chillers, not to replace them, not knowing if we're going to have the financial capabilities to do it.
Judge, if I may, Judge, essentially, Commissioner, what we're looking for is direction. If we get the direction to replace the chillers, we hire the engineer, he does an assessment, and he tells us, because Dale needs to know a number, if we save $200,000, then the SECO is the option that we go. If we can't save that kind of money, then we got to come up with a different option. But we need direction to go move forward. That's the next step.
And I understand that, but what we're moving forward to is my question.
Right, but
I agree with you, Commissioner. I mean, we just need to make it clear.
But to move forward, that'll tell us which way we're going to have to go.
Well, and then this number 2 is somehow related to.
Yes.
That's what. That's hiring the engineer.
Correct. He's the one that's going to.
What's that cost?
That's about a.
Commissioner, we're looking about $100,000 for the engineering, but we're phasing. If we do something like this, it'll be like a 2-phase system. First, we would go out and do the selections of the chillers, and then second will be the design of the chillers.
But that's if we replace. If we repair, you don't have to have these engineers.
You still have to have an engineer.
Yes, you do. For $100,000 to replace or to
Well,
repair?
well, as mentioned, it's based on and they're going to give us a contract if they get selected. I mean, if they get approved today. We'll get a contract from them, we'll evaluate it, and then we'll kind of go back and forth on the total number. Right now, we're looking at 100,000.
And I'm sorry to keep jumping around, but it is kind of related. How did we decide on this engineer?
They, go ahead, Define.
Commissioner, this is professional services type stuff. We hire a professional engineer who has the background, the skills, and knowledge. We do it all the time when we prepare a scope of work, whether it's for an RFQ or for a bid. So he's a third-party person, but internally, the Public Works also reviews what his scope is, and we kind of work together. And we have done that on just about every project we have.
I know how that works, but how'd you pick these people is what I'm asking. Why them over someone else? Are they local? Do they have, did you look at 6 firms? Did you look at cost? I'm trying to get to the specific one on this one.
Diversified or diverse design solutions. The principal is Jared Murtis. He's a professional engineer, specialized in mechanical engineering. He has experience that I personally know of for quite some time, and he has helped the county in achieving solutions on various different air conditioning problems in a very cost-effective manner.
We only looked at one. We didn't look at any others. We just said, okay.
Just basically because he is local, available right with a phone call, and within 15 minutes he's here.
And I get that, but did we not look at others to see if we could get a better price? We're not just talking about 2.5, now we're talking about 2.6.
Commissioner, the 2.5 includes the engineering cost in there.
The 2.5 includes the engineering cost?
Yes, ma'am, it does. And kind of to give you a background of Jared, Jared has done, am I correct saying this, Jared? He's the one that kind of designed the initial AC HVAC system for the courthouse or for the county. So he has the background and the knowledge of the existing air conditioning units or the chillers.
So by picking him, it doesn't speed anything up. My worry is 9 months. I know it could always be shortened. I haven't solicited, I mean, I'm sure others have received information, but I've received information from companies that are out there that say they can do it in less time. So why aren't we looking at it that way? Why aren't we looking at putting out a proposal and seeing, who can do it within a decent amount of time and money and move from there rather than kind of what we have in place? I mean, I appreciate and understand the expediency, but if you're telling me 9 months still, that's still 9 months. That's at the tail end of the heat, hopefully, by then. And if I'm hearing that there's companies out there that that can build up in a shorter span, then why don't we look at that? Or what? I mean, we could go past 9 months. I mean, so if there's someone that say could do it less, and then why aren't we looking at that?
And Commissioner, and what happens if they tell us 4 months and they ended up taking 12 months? I mean, it's the same thing.
I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I hear everybody what they're saying, but I think we're not. Basically, the engineers don't have to go out for bids to get hired an engineer. I know that's for sure. But I think that if we go out and say, this is what we're going to need, you still have to come back to court for us to approve. It's not like they're going to go out and just buy it. I think that whatever you find out there, once you get the assessment from the engineer, you're going to come back to us and say, this is the contract they gave us. Did we approve it or not? And I think that this is how we're going to keep tabs and how we do that. And I think that in the long run, I mean, it's something we've got to be moving on now, other than just staying behind. I think the longer we wait, we're just taking a chance that something's going to go down. We're going to have to rent one, and then we've got to pay an extra money we don't have. So I don't know about 9 months, and I don't know about 7 months. I don't know whatever, but but I don't want it to happen in 3 months. That's for sure.
So,
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. It's my bad.
So go ahead.
Well, let me finish because I still had some points.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
The question or concern that I had also is the financing, because there's companies out there that will do financing. And I'm not saying JCI, but JCI has done projects similar to that. There's others out there, PSI and others, that are able to finance and give us savings and do it all, rather than let's go piecemeal over here, find out the financing issue, then let's go find an engineer here, and then let's have the buildup. You can do it all at once. Now, granted, you may have to pay a little bit more, but why are we not? We're all in different directions right now. All 4 or 5 of us are pretty much in different directions. Some of us, I think, agree in that the financing is a big issue. That's a concern for me. So why is it that we're not looking for a company that can possibly do the self-financing, do it at a reduced cost, and do the build-up and the design work?
And Commissioner, I mean, I'm not trying to. I know that JCI came here and did a presentation.
And I'm not saying
you know what their number. You know what their number was.
JCI or anyone. In fact,
you know what their number was.
I have questions about them because when they said 7 or 10 million or whatever, I mean, my eyes just glazed over, and I said, get out the door, but fix the AC on the way out. I mean, so my concern is why not that approach? I understand piecemealing a lot of times is cheaper, but is that the best approach for us? Help me with that.
Our recommendation, Commissioner, is that is the best approach. It is the best approach because you will get a better more cost-efficient product or project for what we're doing. And what I mean by that, Commissioner, is that number one, Jared has the knowledge and the knowledge of the engineering of evaluating the system and making sure that we're going to be getting the most cost-effective for the county. Is it going to take longer? The chillers take about, because we go back to the timeline. Is it going to take longer? The chillers take about 12 weeks. Am I correct in saying that, Jared? Yes. They take 10 to 12 weeks for them to fabricate. First, you got to buy the chiller. You got to look at the chillers. You got to do the specs of the chillers. So if we fast track this project and we start having somebody that can say they can do it in 4 months, I'm just kind of wondering how they can do it in 4 months because, I mean, are you really getting what's best option for the county? And if we do that, I don't think we will. I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up spending more money than what we should, and versus us evaluating it along with the engineer and making sure that we do get the most cost efficient for the county.
I mean, I've seen these chillers built. When I was at CCISD, we had 3 built. We had one at Miller, one at King, and one at Ray. 2 of those are in Precinct 3. So I've seen those projects firsthand,
Yes, sir.
from what they used to look like to what they are now. And so, I mean, I obviously, I get the grasp of that. I can tell you it probably went a lot longer than what anyone can promise. I totally understand that point that you're saying. I mean, there's so many factors as far as build-up and installation. You come across a problem that you didn't anticipate, and you got to kind of reverse engineer or engineer into that solution. So I get that there's a lot of pieces to it, a lot of parts to figure out. So I understand the time frame, and I agree. We can't wait, Commissioner. I agree, Judge. We got to move forward. The pricing is a concern because do we want to take on more burden? We have so many other projects to fix. I mean, if we can find other solutions, I just worry that can you pull this all together, being to me kind of different parts, which is the engineering, the mechanical engineering, the design work, the financing, which we'll work with Dale and Tyner and others, and then the actual product itself with its timeline. I mean, that's a whole lot to manage. Can you or your staff do that? Because we got a lot of other needs. We got elevators, we got all the other general work that we have.
Yes, sir. Just kind of answer you that question, Commissioner. If we couldn't manage it or we couldn't do it anyhow, I mean, manage the product, the project, I mean, I wouldn't be coming up to y'all and telling you that we could do it. We can manage it. We can take care of it. We have, if Strudy Collins gets selected, I know they will do a good job for the county, and we'll be coordinating with them on a daily basis to make sure that this project goes through in a timely manner.
One, I see two things. Well, all he's going to do is tell us which is the best chiller to buy, right?
Yes, sir.
That's it. Then you go out for bids. Who's going to install it, right?
That's correct.
So this is, and then once you know how much it costs, who's going to buy it, then they'll hopefully will get into the financing. So I think it's a very, it's really like a three-step thing. He's going to let which is the best one, how much it's going to cost. They'll find financing. Then you go out for bids to who's going to install it, right?
Yes, sir. It's pretty much and you're right, Commissioner. It's pretty much a two-phase. Go do the chiller collection, the chiller selection, and then go out for bids for the contractor to install it. The chillers.
The finances you're going to get.
Yeah, and then the finances. I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct.
But let's say we don't come up with an acceptable financing method. I'm concerned that whatever Carolyn said, I liked her wording on that. I think that was appropriate. But I think I'm concerned about us spending any money on the engineer until we are committed to which direction we're going, because I don't know how. First of all, I don't know what money we would spend on the engineer. I guess he'd start designing it. But and the other, that's more of a comment you can answer. But also, how old did you say these chillers are?
They're anywhere from 13 to 16 years old.
16?
Yes, sir. 16, 1-6.
And how long do you anticipate a lifespan of a chiller?
Based on the ash rate, they already made they already met their expectant life. In other words, based on the engineering standards per, correct me wrong here, ash rate, they've already met their life expectancy.
So is the life expectancy by the hours?
By the hours, Commissioner.
By the hours.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how did you word it, Carolyn?
I just said that we probably need to make a motion to go out and secure financing for the two chillers. And if we could get financing to move forward.
Commissioner, can we do go out to find out how much it's going to cost first, then go to the financing?
Well, they're telling us it's going to cost $2.5 million. We already know the cost.
But once they're looking for the chillers to see how much they might be able to get them cheaper. They might be able to get them.
And this is an approximate cost. Yeah. Is $2.5 million.
Yeah, just so we could see if we can get the financing for what we think. It's not going to go over this. And odds for me would say that he probably already knows what the chiller selection would be for a big building like this, if he's an expert like y'all say he is.
Yes, ma'am.
So he probably already knows which chiller's the best one.
Well, Commissioner, what we would have to do is we would have to go out and evaluate all the chillers out there. Mm-hmm. We would open it up to everybody. And that's putting specs together and then coordinating with the chiller manufacturers and determining which chillers are most efficient and most cost-effective that we can be here.
I mean, he already knows.
Okay.
We can add to the motion.
All right. The motion is to replace the chillers, not repair. And that's a motion under number 1. So that's your motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Do you want to include the finance?
Well, whatever you want to include your
It needs
motion.
to be upon financing. You can't get the chillers unless you got the money.
Well,
Brent?
Yeah, I'm not sure. The problem that I have is here is I don't know where the funding's coming from, and it's hard for me to just to vote on something without knowing
Where
what
we're
we're
gonna
going
get
to do on funding, because we never do that.
Well,
We always vote on something with a funding
The
source.
motion will be just to replace them, okay? And then I don't know.
Because I can't vote on to replace them if I know we're going to get a 25% interest rate in order to get the 2.5 million.
Carolyn, we're not going to do
I
that.
know that. I'm just being safe.
She's just making it. No, but that's it.
I just make a motion to replace, my motion is to replace them.
All right.
That's what I want.
The issue was, if you repair, you get a 1-year warranty. 13 months from now, if they break down, you're right back where you are, and you got to spend another $500,000 or $600,000. The real issue is you need to replace those chillers, let the system work, evaluation, all the things that'll be brought back to your court next year. Dale has plenty of time to work with Noe and his people to bring you all a recommendation. At the end of the day, you still got to come up with money to repair or replace those chillers, and if they start breaking down, and we know we're spending $250,000 a year right now in patching those things, we've had them go down at least twice in the last 10 weeks, at least twice. You know, I get the call at home that says, Judge, we can't operate the courthouse today. The chillers are down and nobody can run and it's hot. And the new judge is going to love getting that about 3 a.m. when they start calling you. But commissioners, this is an action this court has the responsibility to move forward on, because not acting in the next 3 or 4 months is going to spread this out well into your next budget discussion and well into your next fiscal year. And I can assure you that somewhere out there, the auditor and the new judge and everybody else is going to say, here's how we're going to finance that. And you're going to have to do that.
Can I ask this, Dale?
Yeah.
When can we know that you can get a defined financing, emphatically that you have financing and what it will cost?
I've already started talking with our financial advisors. Estrada Hinojosa, he's going to be here tomorrow for the judge's luncheon. He's going to meet with me tomorrow to give what avenues we can research to find out what would be the best avenue to take, whether it's going through the comptroller with those two items I told you with Seco or Lone Star, or go through a standard bank loan at a rate. Like I said, he just did one for a city in down in the valley, and it was a $12 million value, and they got 2.5% interest. So it was regular bank loan. So I'm going to work with him tomorrow and find out where we are, and then we can bring something to y'all to say these are the avenues we want to try to address. But like I said, Seco and Lone Star will probably require some kind of energy savings to pay for the debt.
Okay, and my concern is no one buys something unless you know you have the money to pay for it.
Correct.
And that is my concern. I understand we need the chillers, but I want to know we have the money and the financing to pay for it.
Also, like Commissioner Myers was saying, that the last retrofit we did was for air handlers in the jail, I believe it was, and that was a leased-owned type of equipment. So they brought the equipment in. We're now paying $500,000 a year as a rent leased-owned type of thing, and then that could be an option. But we'll have to see what's available.
Could I suggest that we table this for 1 week and bring back our financing options and make a decision next week on this?
I can work with Noe and see where
Get him down here.
He'll be here on Thursday, tomorrow. He'll be here tomorrow, and I can see if he can come back next week and make some kind of presentation for
I
you.
mean, let's talk about COs. Let's talk about these no-interest loans. Let's talk about, but with the financial guy who can say, here's the real option, and then we can make a decision, because I think we all want to move forward, but there's discomfort on not having a funding source
And like
identified.
Ms. Pimentel was saying that right now the estimated cost is $2.5 million, and we can try to go out for a loan through the city, through the county or through the state to do this, but we try to need to know the exact value of what the total loan is, but we can go estimates on 2.5 to start with, yes.
I will be ready to vote on this by next week. I tell you, and go with the motion that you have, Commissioner Gonzalez. I mean, because I agree, we do need to move on this, and I think we do have options.
should
But
have
if we can
something
get
by
most of
next
it
week, yes.
ironed out
You okay with
between
that?
now and next Wednesday, I'll be ready to vote on it regardless.
The motion
I need to get with Tyner to get something put on the agenda. I think, Tyner, the agenda closed yet, Tyner, for next court?
Not if we don't want it to be.
Item on that agenda.
All right.
I would move that we table this to next week with a full discussion
one.
of, table this until next week with a full discussion on our funding options so that we can make a decision based on the full
He has a motion.
enchilada. You don't have to put enchilada in the minutes, but okay.
All right, so you're moving to table item 1.
But Joe has a motion on the floor.
I'm just saying if the motion would
Didn't
state
say.
that if we replace, if we don't go over $2.5 million, I mean, that's just to move forward, that you can still look for the funding. You know
Oh,
what
I'm
I'm saying?
what?
We did not get a second to Joe's motion, I don't think.
I mean,
Did not.
I didn't say that.
So that motion dies, and if you want to make a motion to table item 1 and get a second, we'll vote that.
Thank
Is that a second to item 1? Table? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, item 2, we need to get this engineering moving, and I'd like to make a motion that we hire the recommended engineering firm to begin the replacement project. There's a lot of work has to be done, and we can go ahead and get that started because one way or another, you're going to have to take an action either to repair or replace. And my motion is that we go ahead and hire them as recommended by the Public Works Department. And I have a
just to
second.
clarify, that's a motion to select, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah, but I would really ask that as little, only what has to be done between now and next week, because I really would like to put this all in one package. This is very disjointed. In
Well,
my
it's
opinion.
2 different issues.
It is, but,
You gotta get the contract.
yeah, I mean,
Okay,
This is $100,000 you were talking about.
what?
It goes-
Tell you, she's taking her head at me.
This is just the selection. The contract would still need to come
Okay,
back.
sure, absolutely. We're selecting them, and then they'll bring the contract back for approval.
And right now, there's been no discussion with regarding to cost.
That's right. So all we're doing right now is, the motion is we select them and the contract be brought back to give us the exact cost. And did you make that motion? And I'll second that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, go ahead and get started on that. The 12th is next Wednesday? All right, on the 12th, we'll try to bring this thing to some logical conclusion. And this is a good discussion, and I understand the issues before you here, but I think talking to Noe tomorrow will help. And Dale, you be prepared to help us do that. Juan, anything you can do working with your fine staff to help refine that a little bit, that would help. And you guys go ahead and get started on this other to get us a contract back by the 12th.
Yes, sir, we will.
Okay. That's it. Thank you all. Okay. All right, go ahead.
On item number 4, Commissioner and Judge, discuss and consider approval of change order number 12 for the Mackenzie Annex Jail Annex Dormitory renovation. This is the change order for the access control and electronics for the annex, and this is for to actuate the 10 doors and some other items that need to be done as part of the new renovation.
Yeah. This is my favorite subject, one of them. Mackenzie Annex.
Yes, sir.
Are we getting anywhere close to?
We're getting close, Judge. This is going to be the final of the final.
How much is this?
87,000. Let me put on my glasses on. 44 and 61.
And where's the money?
I think the monies have been
And the project code set up for it, that's doing the allocation for the funds, and we'll make the process to where the balances are there, so.
Okay, I guess we don't have an option, right?
No, sir.
I love that. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Post same sign. All right,
Building and the
go spend some more money.
building and the layout of the building and the fence. Yes, sir. It's in the drawing.
Okay, you number 5?
Number 5, Judge, on this one, it's for the Nueces County Jail parking lot, which is across the Pond Street.
Right.
That's the one that we've been looking at. I know we've been coordinating with the Sheriff's Department and also determining, at one time, we're looking at a 12-foot fence, but to meet the
Sheriff.
jail standards. But I think what we're proposing, or we've met with them, is to put a 6-foot fence with barbed wire and access gate. And that's approximately, we're looking about anywhere from 40 to 45,000.
And the cost is being paid by?
The cost would be paid, there's,
What?
the cost to just do the fence is about $30,000. If you put access controls to it, you're looking about another $15,000.
Where's the money?
The money, that's something, that's part of the discussion.
Let me answer that, Judge, I think, because when we left here the last time, we had we tabled the 4-yard building, and I know that Dale mentioned that he had found 313,001.43 for the yard building, but we don't think we'll need that much for the yard building, and I think that 200,000 would probably take care of the yard building and the fence.
That's item 6.
Yeah, but I'm
No,
just
but
saying, I'm just saying what happened at the last meeting.
He's saying he thinks there's some money.
Oh, from 4-yard move?
Yeah. So instead of that, and Dale, the question to me to you now is, we still have that money, right?
Well, the balances that were there, when we did the last time, we brought this to the court for item 6, which was the 4-yard building. We had reallocated some of our CO funds and some other balances to cover it, and then you and Commissioner Vaughn had agreed to pay a little bit extra to cover the total 300,000. But if we can definitely reallocate some of those funds to meet the requirements for the fence, and then if the reduced cost of 4, then we still have to see if the funds are available for that particular purpose. But we can probably redo this in the CO funds to cover the cost. Yes.
Yeah, because we're actually we're actually not going to use 100,000 of that.
Yes.
So, but the 200,000 almost will take care of the yard and take care of the fence.
I thought we had all said we were going to put in part of our.
Yeah, we
For the
did,
fence.
for the fence.
Fence.
Is that what we're talking about right now?
Well, yeah, but he's saying he
Not
thinks
for the
there's some
fence,
other
we're
money.
the yard, not for the fence.
Okay, I know we can't talk about the yard now, but that's not I thought it was going to cost more than that. I need you to confirm how much that's going to be for that.
For the fence,
For
Commissioner?
the yard,
For the
when we
yard?
get to that point, because that's what he's talking about, those funds.
Yeah, so we're going to
No,
the.
the judge is in charge.
Well, okay, what I think all the commissioner's saying is he's not trying to talk about the yard. He's saying he thinks the yard's going to be less, and so therefore there's money left over that can be used for this fence. I'm still perfectly willing to use part of mine for the fence, as I pledged I would do, if need be, but he was just asking if there wasn't funds available that we could use instead of our precinct funds. And he's just asking the question, I think.
That was the question. When we brought this originally up, it was for the 4-yard, but let's go to the fencing portion. We moved some money of some close projects, and some money that we knew the projects were never going to be done to allocate enough cost to cover the $315,000 that was originally scheduled, with a few adjustments for Commissioner Gonzalez and Commissioner Vaughn putting in little funds. Now, we can go through those funds again and allocate enough to cover the fence of the $40,000 or $50,000, whatever might be the case, and then determine the cost of the 4-yard and see if there's still funds available to do the moving around from the projects that are there to cover the cost. And there should be if the cost is less. Yes.
And if we have to, we can put it some, but I don't think we should have to. I think if you can find 200,000, we are okay.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think we should be able to cover the 200,000 total cost for everything. Yes.
When you're saying everything, you're saying the fence and the yard?
Yes.
Yeah, I still have a lot of questions on that yard, but is the answer that there's funds available from whatever you found before for the fence? Because again, I'm still willing, and I know everybody else is too that said they would be, but if
Redo allocation and reduction of costs possible for the 4-yard ones if it's decided to, or there are funds available in the ones we had originally done to cover the fence cost. Yes.
because I think that fence is essential. I think we need it for security. I think they probably need to have the gate access.
Being the cost is around $50,000 to $60,000, it should not be a problem.
I think you said 45, right? Didn't you say
I
40?
agree, but we need to clarify the cost for that yard building to make sure that
Right, but what's the for sure cost on the fence and the access gate? Fence only, and then fence plus access gate.
The fence only is about 30,000.
And the fence plus access gate?
The access, you're probably looking about another 10 to 15,000.
So is 45 the number that's hard and firm?
I'm sorry, 20,000 for the access gate.
So 50,000 is the hard and firm number for the gate. and you believe, Dale, that there's 50,000 in those whatever magical funds you found that we can use, and okay. Well, again, I'm good with whichever. If the court wants to use these funds,
All right,
great.
here's what we're looking at.
Just want to get it done.
There, look at your screen. And Sheriff, what we're trying to do is work with you as well, because you're going to be using this for a lot of things other than just moving prisoners out if you have to move them. So we're proposing to fence what? The dotted line?
Judge, just want to confirm, the dash line is the proposed fence, but the proposed fence is a 6-foot fence with barbed wire. And the reason we had talked to the Sheriff's Department about putting a 12-foot fence out there, but because of the security requirements and the jail standards, you pretty much can't be having inmates crossing from the jail across and going to the parking lot. So we're also coordinating with the chief to determine what's the best location to put a 12-foot fence around the building as part of a holding, just in case there's a fire or there's somewhere where they have to stage at. We're coordinating. That's another part of the fence project.
So this fence area here is strictly for security and safety of the Sheriff Department staff, police, cars, and everything else that park in there.
That is correct.
That's what it is.
So do you really need the barbed wire?
Yes.
You do?
There's always a line of barbed wire in the top of there.
Y'all just like that freaking barbed wire,
Okay.
don't you?
So Sheriff, this fulfills your needs as well.
Yes, it will.
Okay. All right, good. So under item that we're discussing, which is the parking lot fencing project, the estimated cost of that with access, $50,000. And we've been assured by the auditor somehow we're going to be able to move those funds around to find that. So is there a motion to proceed on that?
So moved.
All right, we have that motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Any other discussions, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same side. Now, the 4-yard. Are we far enough down the road now to know that's where we're going and that's what we're going to do and that's how much money we have?
Yeah, explain where we are on this, please, because this is a big change from last time, cost-wise.
On the 4-yard, what we've done, Judge and Commissioners, since then, we redid our cost estimate based on going with a more, like I say, smaller building.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so Dale, this is 200, so that means we got to find 250?
We have when we originally had the balances up, we had enough to cover the 315, which was the original cost. So, given the case, we probably we're going to cover the cost of the $50,000 for the fence, and then with this cost of the balance of $180,000 to $200,000, we probably have enough funds there. Amongst the rest, because the only thing we needed for when we were asking for funds from Commissioner Vaughn and Commissioner Gonzalez was around $20,000 each, so that was 40. So if you take 40 from the 300,000, I'm at 260. So I've already got $200,000 covered.
You don't need ours.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Juan, explain what we're trying to do here.
On this, Judge, this is just kind of a detailed, kind of handwritten schematic of the building, of the proposed building. We're also looking at about 1,100, from 900 to 1,100 square foot building. The cost estimate that you're looking at includes some sidewalks and some parking lot. Total cost is about $180,000, and this is an opinion of cost, and then also with some engineering fees in there to do the design on it.
All right.
And why do we have to hire an engineer? Why can't y'all do this one?
We could. You would have to have to be able to submit to the city for permit approval. You would have to have some type of architectural, and then you have to have some windstorm because it has to meet the windstorm requirements. So there's some engineering and architectural fees. We don't do the windstorm in-house, and nor the architectural.
So when we're looking at these projects, and this is a question, really kind of a general question, but it's specific to this because we got a lot of projects coming up over the next few years. What could we do to save money by staying in-house? I mean, would we have to spend the whole 20, or would it be the?
We can do the parking lot, and we can do certain things. The septic tank, we can do that. We can submit that as a design and submit it to the.
So, which would cut that probably in half, wouldn't it?
Well, cut some of it off, Commissioner. I wouldn't say half. I would just say some of it.
Well, because if you're saying really all you can't do is the windstorm and what?
You have to do the windstorm. and then you also have to do the architectural layout to be able to submit.
You have to do an architectural layout? You can't just do a design?
For the city, you have to do design, you have to show your mechanical, you have to show your electrical,
Right.
you have to show all that, and all that includes engineering, design part.
No, that sounds like engineering to me. You said architectural, though.
For the architecture, you would have to, and I'm talking about the architecture of the building, you would have to submit some type of layout to them.
So you don't have to hire an architect.
Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir.
I was saying, you've got to hire an architect for a metal building, we're in trouble, right?
Oh, yeah, you have some stuff.
Okay, so you're saying that, and I think it's something we need to look at, and it almost also would be something that we have that big discussion on in January is, is it advantageous for us as a county with all the projects that we have coming to add some capacity to Juan's, staff so that we could add some construction management or engineer or whatever we need to add that might save us a lot of money over all these projects that we're doing. And so I know that's one of that big picture discussion for January, and that'll be, for later. But I do think that we need to try to save money where we can, anywhere we can, even if it's only $5,000 or $10,000. It's still taxpayer money. If we can save another $5,000 or $10,000 off this project because you guys can do it in house, then I'd rather do that.
Commissioner, and if we can do half of it in-house, Commissioner, we'll take care of it. And,
Okay, so-
or more,
Right. So can we do half of it in house?
We can probably shave some of it off.
So I can knock 10,000 off this 20? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, Juan, I think you've already shaved quite a bit off because you made the building smaller, and it was when we first started, it was going to be around 300,000. So for you usually don't build stuff this cheap, and we all know that. So I'm fine with this. I really am, and I'm a big one on taxpayer money, but I've seen what they've gotten, what they're staying in, and I just hope this is enough room.
Yes, ma'am. We did have some
It really is in my area, and Commissioner Juan, I appreciate you going out there. We looked at it, and it's very. I wouldn't even work in that building. I was ready to fall apart. But in the long run, hopefully, Commissioner, hopefully in the long run we can. And my plans are, hopefully, Commissioner's Court will do it too. Is maybe we can close the 83 yard and bring it down to 4 yard, and then save some money. So that's in the long run.
Need a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. We're on item number 6. Everybody okay with that? On item 6, we have a motion and a second to approve the method of funding for the Office of Public Works 4-yard facility, and we have that outlined from Public Works. All in favor? Aye. Post same sign. Thank you. Change order number 7.
Yes, sir. This is, Judge Commissioners, this is a deductive change order number 1 for the Nueces County Airport apron expansion project. What we've done is we've deleted some of the items from the project, and we're getting a cost deduction for $5,702.
Reduction.
Yes, sir. Reduction.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right.
Amen.
Any questions? If not, all in favor? Aye. Post same sign. Thank you, Juan.
Judge, thank you.
Thanks for being so patient. Edward, thank you, guys.
Good job.
Keep everybody focused.
Good job.
All right, go ahead, Michael.
Okay, we have the discuss an award for aviation fuel at the airport. This is to service an 8,000-gallon tank. The term of the contract is 1 year with option to renew, not to exceed 4 additional years past the first term.
Hunter, can you get that on screen? No?
Yes, it's converting right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, and our recommendation is to award to the low bidder AV Fuel Corporation at 3.10904. That's the total delivered price. They usually get shipments. It is an 8,000-gallon tank, but they get their shipments in around 5,500 to 6,000 per trip, and there's a little freight involved in that as well. But this bid price takes our normal delivery amount about $1,200 less per shipment.
Okay.
Than what we're currently paying. So
I got it. Questions? Motion is to accept the bid from Av Fuel Corporation. Is that it?
AV Fuel.
AV Fuel. Thank you. 3.10904. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have the second. Questions? See none. All in favor? Aye. Post same sign. Thank you. Good job.
Okay, next item is the Hilltop Community Center re-roof and HVAC replacement. This is to provide all new roofing or repaired roofing at the Hilltop Community Center complex and Commissioner's Office building. We received 2 bids. And the low bidder we got was Gorley Contractors LLC. However, all the bids we received were in excess of our estimates and available funds for this project. And so we'd like to recommend to reject all bids and publish a new notice and rebid this project with a different scope.
Holy cow.
Well,
How
you
much
know,
over are we? Oh, sorry.
didn't y'all had like 36 people come show up, but y'all think, because I talked to Edward and Linedecker, and we think because of the holidays you didn't get more bids. So I'm gonna make a motion that we reject all bids and rebid in January.
How much over was it? Just curious.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $450,000.
That'll be
Second
interesting.
that one then.
Yeah.
All right, the motion is to reject all bids and go back out at the first of the year. That's your motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a second? All right, I got a second. Questions? See none, all in favor? Aye, pose same sign. Thank you, Michael. Okay, Auditor.
We have the first item is budget change order number 4 for our current fiscal year. There's really two departments that's requesting some funds. The McKinsey Geodynamics, as was talked about earlier, they're because of the power outage, they lost some equipment, air conditioning, so they had to bring a portable 200-ton HVAC unit to cover the cost. So we're needing to move some funds, and normally we take the money from the building superintendent's repair and maintenance. For our county library, they also have to do a little bit of maintenance on some equipment that they have, as well as do some travel expenses for some educational related expense. The funds that are available for these transfers, and they do meet the requirements that we talked to them about, and we submit this for your approval.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, pose same sign. Okay, Auditor.
The next item, we have 4 current departments that receive funds from federal seized funds. That'd be in Constable 3, Constable 5, the Sheriff's Office, as well as the District Attorney's Office. We received these require a sharing agreement and certification to be filed every year. We've received the reports from Constable 3, Constable 5, and as well as the Sheriff's Office. My staff has went over the balances for each of the departments and met with the departments to make sure that they meet the requirements of the Equitable Sharing Agreement. And the reports are available for your review in the back, and we submit this for your acceptance.
Questions?
I have one. I see that the DA hasn't turned in their report.
Not yet. We're working on with them at the moment. They had a change in staff that was necessary to do some requirements, and they have a different reporting window because of they're considered a state agency for the federal level, so they have to go from August instead of September. So there's a little bit of a change of how the reporting requirements are. We're currently working with them and expect to have it by the next quarter.
Okay, so when we approve this means they all share, including the DA. They all share.
Well, each one of them has a separate agreement individually with the federal government, which we do this. So each of them have a separate agreement, and so the DA's got a separate agreement with everybody. So if we don't do the DA, it don't mean that everybody else doesn't qualify. They qualify because we're submitting the agreement.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I'm just curious because to me this report would be very important. What happens if you don't turn in your report?
Any future forfeitures that they would determine not to have you participate in the agreement, and as well as they could cause audit requirements from the federal government to come in and audit you for why you failed to report. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Need a motion? Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve number 2. See no questions. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. May I ask the county attorney, B and C under 5 are out because we tabled that. Do we need to go into executive session to discuss A?
Backup was provided. Unless y'all have questions, we don't need to go into executive.
I don't have any questions. Commissioners, we're denying the claim. And the information on that was furnished by the county attorney. I would move that we just go ahead and give the county attorney authority to deny that claim as outlined in the material that was furnished to us. That would be my motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions of the county attorney? We're denying the claim as outlined under the information furnished. And whatever you need for me to word that,
that's fine.
Belinda, that'd be good?
And if you can formally table B and C, because I
I
don't...
will, I'll do that. I still want to get A out of the way. I have a motion and a second to approve that. All in favor? Aye. Post same sign. I'd like to table B and C.
Second.
That's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we table B and C. It's coming back with the whole discussion next year with the new court. Okay, board appointments, Steiner.
First, you have Emergency Services District Number 2. You have applicants Charles Spivey, Carol Keener, and Donna Jean Eggenberger.
Judge, I would like to nominate Donna Jean Eggenberger, please.
Okay. Are we filling one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have nominated,
Donna Jean Eggenberger.
okay, that's fine. Any others? If not, is that your motion to appoint?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, post same sign. Number B.
Next, you have Emergency Services District Number 4. 3 positions expire. You have incumbents Otis Group A, Kathy Mayo, and Paul Swedish have reapplied. There's 1 new applicant, Damian Fornoris. You need to make 3 appointments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion to reappoint?
The incumbents.
Incumbents.
All right, reappoint the 2 incumbents and appoint the 3rd member who has applied. Is that correct?
It's 3 incumbents, Judge.
3 incumbents.
There's 4 for
Right.
3 spots.
Okay, so who are we appointing?
Otis Group A, Kathy Mayo, and Paul Swedish.
Just quick question. Do they have good attendance records, all the 3 that you're reappointing?
I have no records of that.
Okay.
No.
Jack says yes.
Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye, post same sign. Thank you.
Emergency Services District Number 6. 2 members, William Ordner and Susan Cood, have reapplied. And you have a new applicant, Judy Felder.
3 spots or
Yeah, you can actually fill all 3.
Okay, so we could appoint all 3 people. then.
All 3, yes.
All right, is that the motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, post same signs. You got all that, Tanner?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Next, you have Historical Commission. Anita Eisenhower provides us a list of 21 members.
Move acceptance or appointment.
All right, is there a second? Hello.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to appoint the list as suggested by the
Anita Eisenhower.
Eisenhower. That's the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, post same sign. Thank you.
Next, you have Chris Despon, Health System Board of Trustees. Tony Lamantia has reapplied for his position.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to reappoint Mr. Lamantia as a representative of the court.
Aye.
Discussion, Judge. Discussion.
Question?
So we've talked about just appointments in the past, and I think that, is this one legislatively structured, or is this one created by the court?
The Chris Despon Board, it was created by, my understanding is the agreement between the hospital district and Chris Despon. It came out of us actually leasing the hospital to Spon, and it was in those agreements that this position was provided for.
3.
The 3 appointments.
I think that they're doing a great job, but I can't just for the life of me think that a position that, and I'm sure Tony's doing a good job, it's not about Tony, but that position, to me, that with that kind of importance and standing, that we'd only get 1 applicant. I have a problem with that, and I know we've talked about getting the word out better, and I think that's something we really need to work on as a court, and with our admin assistant who's delegated to that job, because I would think that we would have a whole slew of people similar to Tony's stature, or people who have great ideas or insights that they can provide to the Spawn Board that would also be applying. And so it's something we can just have an ongoing discussion, put in the back of our heads as we move forward into the new year with more appointments, because I would really like to see more people applying. And also, we as a court need to be mindful of bringing in new perspective, because that's always helpful as well. So,
Good point, Commissioner.
I agree with you, John. I'm just curious, how long has he served? How many terms? And is there term limit on this?
No term limit.
That's something we need to talk about, too. So we need to put that on the agenda.
okay, thank you.
We have a motion to reappoint Mr. Lamontia. Did we get a second?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Any other questions or concerns? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. He's currently serving as chair of that board, by the way.
Yep.
Okay. Tyner?
I believe you've got the Beach Management Advisory Committee, and you,
Table that? Somebody wanted to.
no, that was the next one.
That's the next one. This
And-
one's overdue already.
And you have, I guess, 4 incumbents reapplying: James Skabarczyk, James Den, Hannah Chipman, Lawrence Young.
I don't know what happened to the fifth one who told us she was reapplying also. Did we not get that letter? It was Shelley Mayer from Port Aransas. Because I know I thought we had her letter. I thought we had everybody's letter. But I would certainly move for reappointment for these, but would like to go ahead and reappoint her also, if that's okay. But because she did tell us she was going to reapply.
Who's that?
Shelley Mayer. Okay,
I will double check the records, Commissioner.
she's my only Port Aransas representative, so I'd like to have one.
So a second to a point where we got there.
I appreciate it. Those 4 plus her, if that's all right. And I'll get in a formal letter, but I'd like to go ahead and add her to the list too.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
So are we reappointing 5 people?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have the names?
The 4 of these, and then Shelley Mayer, and it's Mayer.
That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Thank you. Next.
I believe that's the one that was, is that the one that was tabled?
That's it. Yeah, we're done.
So table already, Judge.
We tabled G.
Yes, sir. Till the, yep.
Beginning.
Did we actually vote on that?
Yes, sir.
We did?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's got to come back. Okay.
Fine.
Commissioner, are you prepared to deal with that?
Yep, new judge said I could blame her.
Okay. All right. That's all the actions I have on the agenda. Anyone got anything else, or anyone who wants to adjourn in memory of at this time?
Oh, yes, I have one member in memory.
All right, thank you.
Dewey Glenn Smith was passed away on November 28, 2018, and just would offer condolences to his family.
Thank you. Joe, anybody?
Yes, one. Veronica Mazun Haiji, she passed away on November 23rd, 2018. She was the manager of the Nueces County Credit Union. Her sympathy goes out to her husband, owner and manager of Bella's Bristol downstairs, and also our prayers go out to the family.
Thank you. John, anyone?
Yeah, Judge, I'd just like to share comments about President Bush. You know, he was vice president when I was in 3rd grade, and all the way into high school, and president in my early college years. And so him and President Reagan, Jimmy Carter, those were people I saw that really kind of formed me into wanting to be a public servant.
Right.
And so this passing really bothered me. I know that we all get to that cycle, that season in life, and he lived a life well lived. And so I just want to thank President Bush for his service to our country. And he knew Corpus Christi, he knew Nueces County, he knew our area very well. And so I mourn with our country because that was someone who was a big part of my life. Even though party-wise I'm not of the same party, but just a big, tremendous loss. My family feels the same way. Someone who brought dignity and honor to that office and made difficult choices. I mean, I don't agree with every policy decision he made, but when you talk about the good that he did, for now, we'll let the historians argue over did he make the right choices on conflicts or other things that we got into or different policy votes, but he did a tremendous job for an office that has the weight, literally the weight of the world on him. So I just want to remember President Bush for all that he did, and that was, like I said, a big part of my life, and I think part of why I'm here today, because of seeing that example of public service.
Amen to that.
Thank you, John. Carolyn, anybody? Let's
Your
stand.
Honor, I do have one.
Yeah, please.
A member of my church, Les Owens, passed away not recent. His service was this Monday at the Veterans Service at the Veterans Memorial at the Veterans Cemetery. He was a World War II veteran and served in the Navy. We just want to, and he was a very strong member of our church, and we would like to wish his family the condolences that they expect.
Thank you. Let's stand a moment. Thank you.
Y'all have a good Christmas. See you next year.